going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream, shout them out, and then we're going to get our special guest of the day, Jeffrey Mendel, from the mean streets of Wall Street. Shout out to Jeff. Let's give everyone a quick shout out here. Joseph.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
here we go. We got Kahlua, we got Gore, we got Pillsbury, Greg Moore in the house. Shout out to Charlie Taff, JF Trader Fiddlebeck. We got Hello, hi. We got Trejo. We got Sean and Neil. I love this one. Mateus Lane. We got Naps. We got AK. We got Daniel. I hope we don't get dinged for that little. T-Money, Omega Zero, Ronaldo. We got Mark Susi and Sam L. Shout out to Jag and Tez. We got Tomas, Phil Rich, Vizbot, Jose Perez, KT Options. As opposed to Joey Options. Pretty Panda. We got Celery. Who else we got over here? Let's have a look and just pause the video super quick. We got Mary S. Lyman, Black Hawk JP, Mr. Love Shack, Airy Pages, TN Tree, Try Nitro Toluene. Don't know why I remember that. Joseph Brown. We got Memes. We got Jerry. We got Vivid Distortions. Shout out to Jazz. And last but not least, Dabba Do. Shout out to my man. And the Flintstones there. Hope everybody has a great day. You know why, Andre? Because it wasn't plugged, brother. All right. We're ready for Jeff anytime he is ready, guys. Shout out to Jeffrey Mendel. Ready to bring him in? Okay. Just, we'll
just sit here and wait. Yeah, we'll wait for Mr. Mendel to be ready, guys. I think it's been a tough one for sure. Well, I mean, for the Bulls, we'll talk a little bit about some sector rotation right after Mr. Mendel.
Hey, there he is. Shout out to Jeff. How are you, Jeff? How's it going over there?
How's it going?
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, it's better today. It was, I don't know if you know, but we got smacked with a big snowstorm, and then it got really cold. So none of the snow melted, and nobody could drive because, well, the streets were just full of snow, and it was very cold. So it wasn't good, but it's getting better, Jeff. Now it's in positive territory. But I want to talk to you about a specific ticker over here, one that's caught my attention, especially with these Chinese ADRs starting to pick up steam a little bit. I've talked to you about this before. I remember at the big desk, BYD, Jeff. It's been my focus for a long time. I know you and I had this discussion before, but I think it comes from a lot of people. There's two tickers on the OTC exchange for BYD. We got BYDDY and we got BYDDF. What's the difference, Jeff?
Yeah, so one is an ADR, right? So BYDDY. Can you hear me now? No? No?
Can you put up his volume?
Hello? Hello?
Yep. Go ahead, yep.
Nothing? Okay, good?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, no, thank you for the intro as well, too. Good to be on the show with you guys. So, yeah, BYDDY is an ADR. And so basically it's so a bank packages it up and it becomes a depository receipt, and then it trades at some ratio to the local ticker, right? And so BYDDF is a US dollar denominated quote of the actual local share. So it's called foreign ordinary share. And so typically, I like, knowing, you guys on the show, and you guys would have access to trade the ADR because it's easier to clear and settle. It clears and settles here in the US, and the way that your trading platform is set up. It's you're probably going to be looking at the ADR version of it. And so if you want you brought up the chart. And so yeah, in this name today, it's traded a decent amount of volume. It's over $17 million worth of shares traded. It's up about 2% today. So we're just over $100 here today. Decent spread too. Right now I'm seeing a 5-cent spread on it. It's and so yeah, great name to trade. Obviously, with all the news about China, tariffs, also just electric vehicles in general as well too. Great name to kind of take a look at.
And Jeff, you and I have talked about this one as well in the past. Volkswagen also traded on the OTC exchange. Super important. Rivian reported a few days ago they have a business association there for the tune of about $2 billion, maybe a little bit more. How is Volkswagen doing? Are we seeing more volume come into that after Rivian's earnings?
let's take a look here. So let's see here. Bring it up. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of activity in Volkswagen today. So it's VWAPY is the ticker here, and so decent spread, 3 cent spread on a 10 cent on a 10 cent or on a $10 name here. So another kind of good one to look at. This is an ADR out of I think one of the German exchanges. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which one, but great stock to kind of look at. Some of the other names out of Germany as well too. RHHBY. Number of just European names that trade here, and also too one thing to kind of think about too is there's an overlap in between the European markets and the U.S. markets as well too. So typically from about 9:30 to 11:30, you definitely see the markets kind of they kind of go back and forth, meaning that they stay in line with each other. And then also once the European markets close, it's a great way to trade a lot of these European names as well too, after the close. And the U.S. is still kind of intraday. So yeah, great names to point out.
And one of the biggest companies that obviously we don't trade on the direct exchange over here, Tencent, not Tencent Music, TCEHY, Jeff. Tencent, obviously, holdings out in China there. So in the WeChat app as well as some of the ride-hailing stuff. How's that one doing? Any interest in that one lately?
I mean, listen. This is one of the biggest companies in the world, right? TCEHY. It's traded already over 80, almost $83 million worth of stock today, right?
That's when he has
very tight spread, lots of liquidity as well too. Traded almost over 1.3 million shares as well too. It's trading at around 62.50 right now. So another kind of great name to look at. Some of the other names as well too, like Luckin Coffee, DD. Luckin Coffee, LKNCY. Right, there is no local ticker for LKNCY, so it's a very popular brand. It trades on OTC markets, right? DIY, similar to Luckin Coffee. Another kind of great name to look at. So DD Global, right? That's trading just under $5, down a few cents today. But got a lot of them here. Then also let's look at some of the domestic names too. FNMA, Fannie Mae, right? It's down about 6% today, but this stock has been moving all around recently, right? With talks of privatization of Fannie Mae, right? And I think the stock is going to continue to move around. Very liquid name. It's been trading millions of shares each day. So we got a wide range of names from international companies to some of the domestic names here that are kind of all available. Can trade it using our ECN, OTCX, also the brokers as well too.
All right, Jeff. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to meet Joe. He's got a question for you though. Go ahead.
Mr. Mendel, yes. How's it going? Very good.
Good, man. How are you?
So just a quick question for you here. I want to take a couple steps back and just kind of get into someone who is kind of new and not really familiar with the OTC markets. So for traders who aren't familiar with them, I'm curious, like where would someone who wants to get involved in the OTC markets, what would be a good spot to start, and what should we look at specifically if we wanted to start trading in the OTC markets?
So I think we have a great resource, our website, otcmarkets.com. And so I don't know if you can pull it up right now, but I'll show you exactly where to go. So otcmarkets.com. And on there, if you can't pull it up, it's no big deal. You go to market activity, you go to current market, and then you can sort by dollar volume traded. Number of trades is a good indicator of activity in these. So I think between those two, you go to the dollar volume and the trades under market. There you go, on market activity. And so, you look under there, I'm going to click sort by trades. We can go through, a lot of the names that we talked about, FNMA, Tencent, Nintendo, NTDOY, one that we didn't mention, but, international brand, decent amount of trading going on, nice amount of volume as well too. I think this is the best place to go if you're interested in OTC markets. Also on the website too, you can go and you can check out just some stats. We have some FAQs on there as well too if you want to learn more about us, right? It goes, just kind of like a market, like kind of general dump of, how it kind of works. It goes, it also highlights, as an issuer of companies, right? So the actual companies themselves that trades, there's a lot of information on there as well too about them. We try and make everything really transparent, especially for our QX and QB, our QX and QB tiers, which is our premier market, and then also our ventures market as well too. But if you're just interested in the trading, go to current market, check it out, and yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Mendel. For those who wanted to learn, that's a great start. Very much appreciated, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I think I think I lost a bet to Neil last time, so I'm kind of glad he's not on here right now. But great win for the Canadian hockey team. It got us in the championship.
Yeah.
We got you once, but still, man, when it really counted, just couldn't pull through. So awesome win for you guys.
It's all right. You always got 2 years from now anyway, so there you go. Next time. The next time.
There you go.
Cheers.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
All right, guys. Thanks for being on, Jeff. All right, guys. I'm involved in a trade over here, SLXN. We'll talk about this one in a minute. Oh boy, it just dropped off pretty aggressively there. We'll have to flatten out and look to reset over here. I'm also keeping my eye on ONVO. Had a good trade on this one, but it is off the highs. Just worked its way back into the volume weighted average price, but it's having a lot of trouble with this $1.45, $1.50 area, a previous area crest. So there's lots of small cap gappers to keep an eye out on today. A lot of them, sadly, though, are giving up the ghost in the sense that they are trading now below VWAP. We're going to have to be careful with that, make sure that we don't break our rules, because we don't want to take these bad boys long in an area where we know that there are bag holders above that area, either because it's below VWAP or below the pre-market high. So very focused on these small cap gappers today, but we got a hell of a lesson today, man.
Yeah.
Are we talking about that options wheel?
Yeah, we're going to talk options wheel, guys. I think it's going to be a good lesson just for current market sentiment. We've done it before, but I think just a good refresher is the way to go on this one. So let's get right into this lesson here, guys. I think it's going to be really important for those long-term accounts. I heard Katina Man say, hey, don't even want to look at that. I said that same thing to Sharif. I don't even want to take a gander at the long term, but we actually have to, unfortunately, we have to face those fears, face the realities of the market, and then we have to take action. We don't want to make any impulsive action. We want to be smart and calculated, guys. So let's get right into the options wheel and see what we got going on for today. All right, so this is what we're going to get into. So we're going to break down the options wheel. We're going to do some cash secured puts, covered calls, and leaps. I think that's really, really important. Stock selection, technicals, and fundamentals, and then why it's just classified as the triple income strategy, especially in times like this, guys. So let's get right into this here and see what we got going on. All right, so the options wheel is a popular trading strategy amongst many traders and investors. To understand the options wheel, first you must understand the three basic components, okay? So stocks or leaps. So stock, 100 shares of stock are one long-term equity anticipation security. That is a leap, okay? So you can use both of these vehicles. If you do have shares, then you want to sell options against them, okay? But there's also something called a poor man's cover call, and we'll touch on that shortly as well. So cash secured puts, very simple stuff. So these are things that we want to focus on, stocks or leaps. Cash secured puts also reduces cost basis on ownership of your specific stock, okay? And then covered calls, I think, which is the more popular one and something we will most definitely be touching on today as well, and will boost overall return and mitigate unrealized losses, okay? and help mitigate those unrealized returns, especially in times like this. So steps of the wheel. Number one, there are multiple steps required in order to execute the options wheel correctly. Do your research on an underlying asset that you would like to own for an extended period of time, not short term, also not overly long term, okay? So once you've done your due diligence, scroll through your options chain and select a strike price you would like to own the underlying asset and a time frame in which you would like to possibly own. 20 to 60 days to expiry for the cash secured puts. Okay, so basically I'll take a step back. What is a cash secured put? So you essentially have you're liquid in your account, you're sitting on some cash, and you want to own a specific stock at a specific price, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to scroll through that options chain and say, okay, I would like to own Walmart at $95, but it's trading at around $97, but you have some cash in the account, and what you do is you sell a put at 95, waiting for that strike price to be hit, okay? So now you're going to be assigned 100 shares at 95 and not 97. That is the key to this step of the process, okay? So you've now selected your short put and are waiting for the price to come to you. Once you get assigned on your short put, you now own 100 shares of the underlying asset. Holding your long leg of stock, all right, so now you've been assigned on that short put. You are now the proud owner of the stock that you wanted. You can now sell covered calls on that position, collecting premium while the stock appreciates and or mitigating risk while the leg of stock picks a specific direction. Now we can get a lot more intensive on the options chain to what we want. We just got this, we are now the proud owners of those shares, and we just received them, so we may not want those to get assigned right away. So what we can do is we can sell far out the money calls against that position while that stock is either appreciating, depreciating, or moving sideways, okay? Moving forward. So once you get assigned from selling the out the money covered calls, you now profit from the difference between your average stock price and the short call strike price. You now are liquid and hold cash. You now repeat the same process on the underlying asset or continue to do your research and select another stock. So now, this is a little bit complicated. It wasn't, maybe me describing it is a little bit complicated, but this picture may help you a lot. So if at the start here, let's look at here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sell some out the money cash secured puts, as I was referring to earlier. Walmart is trading at $97. We don't think that's worth it. We wanted a little bit cheaper, so we want to sell some cash secured puts at $95. So what happens here? Does the cash secured put expire worthless? Yeah, if it does, yes. Then we just collect that premium and still wait. We can sell another cash secured put and wait for that to come. Now, the key to this is if we're not getting assigned on that cash secured put, we're still collecting premium and we're still liquid at the same time, all right? So keep that. That is really, really important. Now, if we do get assigned, all right, so this is the next step in the process. So the cash secured now finishes in the money and you are assigned those 100 shares of stock. All right, so now we're on to the next step. We now have these 100 shares of Walmart, but what we want to do is we want to create more passive income, so we start selling further out the money covered calls. All right, this is exactly what we want to do. Now, back to that same step. Does it expire worthless or does it expire in the money? Yes, it expires worthless, okay? So that theta chewed up the value of those contracts. We didn't get assigned. We've now collected premium, but we still own those 100 shares of stock. That's perfect. We're benefiting from the appreciation of the underlying asset, and we're benefiting from theta in the decay of the options contract, okay? But oh, wait, 1 second. We sell another cash covered call here, and this time we get assigned. So this is what happens when we get assigned. Our brokerage will now take those 100 shares away from us at the strike price that we own, creating the difference of what we can profit from our average price of the underlying asset to that covered call, okay? So if we were to own Walmart at $95 and we were selling covered calls at $100, we now profit from that difference from 95 to 100 on those 100 shares, okay? Meanwhile, we still collected the premium from the previous covered call. So now we don't have any shares once we've got assigned, and then we just start the wheel all over again. We now are sitting liquid on some cash, and we want to own Walmart again, so we sell some out-the-money cash secured puts. We get assigned. Now we are the proud owner of those shares. We now want to sell covered calls against those shares to collect more money. Eventually, we get assigned on those, and we're right back at the beginning where we are cash liquid, profiting from the difference of our average price to that short call, okay? So that is the options wheel. Now, stock selection. Stick to boring stocks. Avoid highly volatile assets. So you want to stay away from the likes of Tesla, Nvidia, and even Bitcoin at this point, all right, guys? We don't want to avoid those. We want to stick to boring names like the staples, like some energy stocks, and etc., okay? So, sector ETFs are really good choices as well, guys, because they are not as volatile. Technicals matter. Stick to strong trending companies as well, too. You don't necessarily want to be selling cash secured puts in a stock that is in a downtrend because it can continue to move to the sell side. Now, in a primary bull trend or consolidating with the potential of a move higher. The more expensive the asset, the more capital required, all right? So we know if we want to buy 100 shares of Walmart, that's going to cost us approximately, at $95, it's going to cost about $9,500, okay? So there are good companies ranging in different prices. You don't always need to buy the $200 stocks. Now, just keep in mind, when you are going into the lower price stocks, you are going to collect less premium as well, okay? So just keep that in mind. Fundamentals matter when operating the wheel. As of right now, Tesla isn't necessarily something you'd want to be involved with. We know that a lot of companies have give weak outlooks for Q1, and they are in downtrends. We want to avoid that. We want to look for strong fundamentals, strong guidance, and strong reports as well, too, all right? So you don't want to select stocks with declining revenues and are continuously missing on Wall Street's estimates, such as EPS and Rev. The depth you dive into fundamentals is also subjective. Finding basic key fundamental metrics will help you with consistency. So stick to the same thing. If you have a certain amount of criteria that you're looking at, for, like I just mentioned, EPS, revenue, and guidance, stick to those three, build yourself a sample set, and then see if you can build some consistency within that type of system. Now, Rev, EPS, and forward outlooks are good to monitor, as I just mentioned. Using the PE ratio, forward PE can tell you whether the stock is priced accordingly compared to its peers and the overall market. Now, the triple income strategy. Why is it called this? So, income number one, collecting premium from the cash secured puts, all right? So we went over this before. If we don't get assigned on those cash secured puts, that's just more money into our account. And guess what? We can buy more shares after that as well. So, pay you to buy shares you would like to own. That is extremely positive. Income number two, collect premium from selling the covered calls, and then collect cash while your leg of stock appreciates and the covered calls does not close in the money. Income number three, collect cash when your covered calls get assigned and you sell your shares, okay? So that is why it is called the triple income strategy. Now, putting everything together, determine which stock or ETF trading vehicle you would like to operate the options wheel on. Do fundamental and technical due diligence. Sell cash secured puts. Wait to get assigned, then start selling covered calls. Once your covered calls get assigned, repeat step one, guys. And that is the options wheel. You know what Sharif says?
Sir.
We hope that everybody prints up multiple storms.
Oh, yeah.
If you have any questions on the options wheel, you guys know what to do. Put them in the chat, and I'm going to do my best to answer them, my friend.
All right, Joseph, we're taking out some levels here on Onvo, baby. I had a trade before the show on this one, and I'm back in it again. ONV dang O. You're just trying to get me back for what I do to you when you're on the big desk. I know it. All right, here we go. We're taking out some more here. Get it, baby. All right, ONVO. This one is holding VWAP. It's a good look. It might. Is it going to halt here? No, there's no way it's going to halt at $1.53. Okay, so we're looking at a possible up halt here. There it is. It's halted to the upside now. ONVO halted at $1.52. Good look on this monster. Get out of the way, Trenda. You're in my way. So that's a look right now on ONVO. Multiple outs on this bad boy. I got in at $1.34. It was a skosh above that volume weighted average price. It's a good look right now. I'm going to continue to wait for the open here. It should be a 5-minute halt. I believe this is the first time. I'm not 100% sure. I have to go look at the 1-minute chart, but I'm pretty sure this is the first up halt here on ONVO. It's up a light 311%, so not a big deal. Nobody get too excited about that. All right, so then the other one that I'm involved in right now, MLGO, taking out multiple outs on this bad boy. I added, though, when it came into 82s. And then I wet my beak again at 90. I've layered my orders on this monster. I'm waiting at 94s and also at 98s. It's trading above VWAP. It's respecting the level. I'm talking about VWAP right now, but what it's showing me is this propensity now to zig and zag. It's got a bit of a consolidative move, and I will submit to you, it's been in this consolidative holding pattern since about 10 after the hour. So we're going on about 20 minutes or so where it's been in this consolidative push. Hadn't done that before. It had basically bounced off support levels, rejected off resistance, and then trended. Now we're caught in a bit of a consolidation, which is fine. I like my price. I'm long at 86s. I've wet the beak all the way up to their 99s. But again, as I mentioned, holding VWAP, but no longer really breaking through that $5 level like it had been before. As you can see on the chart, I've got planned, underline that, planned dollar cost averages into the $0.75 and as well into that 70 penny area. Only reason is because that's where VWAP is. Now, if I'm going to hold my position into VWAP, why the hell wouldn't I add into that position, and then if it breaks a level, get out, so that the position that you added into is only like 3 or 4 pennies out of the money, right? Because you added at the lows and then you got stopped out just right below the ad. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to, gracefully trade these monsters. It's hard because sometimes they make you look awfully stupid because the bottom can drop off just like that, and then you end up looking like an idiot. Which is fine. I mean, that's what we signed up for on this show, and that's what we're going to do. We just wet the beak again. We're nicely in the money on this one. Now I'm waiting a little bit below 5, so it behooves me to wait on the north side of 5, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Basically predicating these orders on the break and take of that $5 level. But as you can see, it is not as forthcoming as it had been prior. So that's the situation right now with MLGO. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to have a look over here on ONVO. What time did this halt at? 11:26:42. I'll submit to you guys that the current time right now is 11:29:40. So where are we at here? We're 3 minutes deep. We're exactly 3 minutes deep. Uh-oh. Who is that in the chat? Big Smile. He's changed his name to Burdette now. Why are you smiling, Big Smile? Because everything's red and the world's crashing? Is that that's what makes him happy? We'll talk about more about Big Smile once we get back from a Big Desk.
When we get back.
Just be aware here of Alcoa. Alcoa is near day's lows, or basically at day's lows, really weak, even alongside the rest of this market-wide uncertainty, because they actually do have a catalyst here too. They're talking about these tariffs because they are the world's 8th largest producer of steel, so they're likely to be impacted here by these tariffs. They actually said apparently 100,000 U.S. jobs are at risk of being eliminated from the tariffs. The company's CEO estimated that these 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel would lead to 20,000 direct U.S. aluminum industry jobs to be eliminated, and that if we get these 25% tariffs, they also could result in 80,000 indirect jobs being eliminated. So Alcoa is saying that there could be quite a lot of job loss in the aluminum industry should the tariffs go through. Obviously not a great look for this aluminum company pushing to the downside. Back to you.
I give you credit. Shout out to Randy. He wants credit. We're going to give him credit. When I talked to him about Tesla in October, when everything was moving up aggressively, you said there would be a pullback, but so did Big Smile.
Big Smile.
Hold on. Let's just give him his credit, too, because he's just back in the chat. He was asked by Joe, I think, 500 first or 300 first, and Big Spout, true to form, because he wants the world to burn. I'm kidding, of course, that's not true. He said that we would be definitely hitting 300 before we hit 500, Randy. How's that? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Well, we're at 300 now. So Kyle won
Ford's
that.
up,
Yeah, Ford's up.
percent.
So, yeah, it's a tough look here on Tesla. I know you guys are saying pullback. I think this is a little bit deeper than a pullback here, Sharif.
Oof.
We're starting to hit into somewhat correction territory. Take a look at that. As all the boys over there to the right of us would say, let's go. Obi's killing it. 38.6%. To the downside off of those highs, off those all-time highs on Tesla. That is a little bit more deeper of a pullback. That is more correction territory, in my opinion, Sharif. I don't know. But yeah, Spile, you were right, and you called it when we were north of 400, my friend. I said, no, I think we tap into 500 before we get to this 300, and now we are south of that. So really, really ugly look here for Tesla, giving back all those gains since the election. This is an ultimate high beta stock, something I wish I locked in a little bit more profits, guys, on this one, on the top side. And that's what I was talking about yesterday, Sharif. I said, you got to pay yourself sometimes. And the more this sell-off continues, it's like, you got to listen to that stomach. You got to listen to that intuition and just pay yourself when you're supposed to, because sitting through a correction like that, 40%, is definitely not fun, my friend.
No, it certainly is not. Okay, ONVO is open to the upside now. New high day, $1.83. We're done with this one. I'm looking to add on ONVO at the 50 penny area. It's gonna, if it comes down into 50 pennies, obviously, I'm very interested in at that level. I don't really want to punch in at highs with this one. This one did bamboozle me. No, it wasn't this one. Sorry, it was SLXN, the one that bamboozled me. So this one, maybe I shouldn't have such strong bad feelings about right now. 183, as I mentioned, high day on this monster. I'd like it on a pullback, though. I just don't feel comfortable punching in at highs. It's about where I get in. So the $1.50 area is one that seems the best area for me. So let's go ahead and front run that size. I'm going to sit at $1.55. It already wicked down a little bit. I believe it did come into 155. So I may have missed my entry on this monster. We'll see. So if I get filled at 155, I give it I give it 15 pennies. I'm going to give it to that $1.40 area. Otherwise, I will get stopped out of that. Currently, we're at a topping tail candle on ONVO, so it's not a good look. But as I've mentioned in the past, these topping tail candles on small cap gappers are not the same thing as seeing a topping tail candle come in on a Mag 7 or a different large cap name. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. I'm really interested in adding into the position, but it's going to have to remain directional. Let's put some respect on this one's name. It's up 336%. Solid look on the day, but not allowing me in at the moment as it's not coming back into that $1.55. I'm also involved in, what's this one called? MLGO. I've added in this 7 penny area. I've taken out the majority of the position, so I've got a small amount here relative to what I initially had. I'm out of the money, obviously, on it, but it's holding this general area that it's defended before, so I want to pack my patience here. I've moved up my stop from below the $0.50 to a little bit higher, so that way if it does, break down here, I don't give back too much in the way of profits, but I'm also involved in this MLGO trade, but out of the money currently on it. Looking to wet the beak at around 82s to de-risk a little bit on this one. It's showing me 70s, so we're already 11 pennies out of the money on this one. Okay, so it's moving up to 76, so not so bad. All right, here we go. Back to ONVO. It's showing me 58s. I'm waiting at 55, so I may get the fill here. Here we go. 56 is now showing up as the selling comes in on ONVO. It's up 328%. It is not about, come on, bro. It wicks in, and then it shoots right back up into that mid-60s area. Okay, well, that's the situation. So here's the deal. I've got to throw out a stop on this monster in case I do get filled and then all hell breaks loose. So we're going to throw a preemptive stop despite the fact that I haven't got filled on here. Back, into MLGO. Okay, now we're 1 penny out of the money as this one retraces back into 80s, but it doesn't matter if it retraces back. I'm going to have to get filled, and it's going to have to continue on its merry way. And this one already had a lot of trouble with $5 despite the fact that it was able to wick above 5. It can't seem to hang around above that $5 level. Every time it breaches it, it comes back down. So that is no good for me We're going to pack our patience, though. We've got our levels, come what may.
Hey, yes, sir. So yeah, okay, I had a great question in the chat.
Go.
Someone asked me, they say, Joe, I own this contract and the company did a reverse split and I only owned one contract. So what happens? Well, that's a great question. So when a stock undergoes a reverse split, this is an answer here that I received. The number of shares in your options contract is adjusted to reflect the new share count. The strike price of the option is also adjusted to maintain the overall value of the contract. For example, if you own an options contract for 100 shares with a strike price of 10 and the stock undergoes a 1-for-2 reverse split, your contract will now cover 50 shares with a strike price of $20, okay? So the Options Clearing Corporation ensures that the adjustments are made fairly so that the value of your options contract remains consistent. This way, you won't gain or lose value simply because of the reverse split. So you'll be okay. Everything is just adjusted and accordingly to that reverse split. But let's see what Adair is up to, guys.
Just keep an eye here on U.S. Steel. I'm seeing this report coming through here by Semaphore, circulated on X. Apparently, U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel executives have been seeking meetings with senior Trump administration officials in a last-ditch effort to save their over $14 billion merger. So, of course, in case you missed it, basically what's happening here is U.S. Steel is said to be acquired by Nippon Steel for over $14 billion. The Biden administration blocked it. Trump has blocked it up to this point. So we're going to have to wait and see here. But X on Watch reports that U.S. Steel and Nippon officials are trying to talk to Trump officials to get this deal salvaged here. Back to you.
Very much appreciated. All right, guys, let's just talk about, I think, something a lot of individuals in the chat, I see people saying they're buying calls on Tesla, on iBit, and etc. So let's just talk about what's going on here. Katina Man was touching on it as well. I mentioned before, so what I really want to focus on is that the inability to construct a new high here. That's really, really key. So what did we do? We put a double top essentially on iBit and Bitcoin itself, but then we also have this definitive base that I mentioned time and time again. I said if we crack this, there's going to be more downside, and we did exactly that. We cracked it with momentum, so I do believe there is going to be more downside here in Bitcoin. So guys, just be weary. And a lot of people are asking me, like, Joe, is it time to long something? Is it time to do this? And I'm going to give you my answer, and it's not right. It's subjective. I'm going to say no. I don't want to buy Tesla down here. I don't want to buy actually anything down here just yet. Sitting on some cash can be ideal, because when there is blood on the streets, that is when the smart money is going to start buying as well too. But have we hit that max pain level yet? I don't think so. The market is actually only down under 4%, 3.7% to be exact. The SPY is down from those all-time highs that we constructed last Thursday, I believe. So, I mean, we're not completely in correction territory just yet. We can still call it a pullback. As ugly as it may seem, I think it's time to be a little bit more patient in this market and just wait for better prices, because I believe they're going to come very, very soon, Sharif.
All right. I'm cutting a halt down here, though, on ONVO. I don't really mind, because this is still above VWAP. I've gotten a bit of a scalp here into that 60s area. I'm long at 55s. It's currently halted at 51s, so it's not a bad look. I'm actually looking to add into this one. So I will be adding at 40s and at 30s if it does spike down. So much do I like that level, I'm going to go ahead and throw out those orders now. So if we do get that fill or that open, then I get to fill there. So I've thrown that out, happy with that. Let's see if we can continue to extract some profit. So this one's been volatile. It's halted to the upside and the downside, but I'll submit to you it's still above the 10, the 20, and VWAP. So we'll see exactly. And besides, right now the top is already showing me 159. We're halted at 151, so come what may. MLGO, scalping into this one. So we've got 78s now. I scalped there into 85s. I'm now waiting at 92s. This one, though, could be trouble. We're in the money on it now, but I don't like the pattern that it's putting in. Here's what I'm talking about. Area high at 530, and then area high at 5, area high at 495, and currently we have an area high at, say, 487, 486, whatever, something like that. The point is, it's a lower high. That's not good. because I'm long. So what I'm looking for here is not a downtrend off which to get long, but an uptrend. So what I need there is higher highs and higher lows. So right now we're in the money, but barely. I've scalped a little bit up after adding into the 70s, so we'll see what comes from this one. Currently still above VWAP, but that's all that's good right now about this one. Straight up, that's the only thing that's good about this one right now. I'm talking about MLGO, is the fact that it's trading above VWAP, but it has a bit of a downtrend, especially off that 530 touch and drop. Now, this one, when we got above, almost into my level there at 88s, the spread had opened up in a way that it hadn't been with this one earlier. What does that mean? That means liquidity is drying up a little bit. So that's not good either. We need volatility. We need definitely liquidity here in order to keep those spreads tight so I can get filled at the price that I so choose. That is not happening at the moment. Back to ONVO. This one halted at 37.56. It is now 42. What time is it? 42.04. So we're going to open in about 50 seconds on this monster. And right now it is showing me the theoretical auction price of that $1.60. Doesn't mean it's going to be a $1.60 when we open. And nor does it mean I'm going to get printed, because where's my order at? Well, my order's sitting at 164. So currently with the tap, I will not get the print if that happens. So I'm keeping my eye on both of these monsters. I'm talking about ONVO. I'm talking about MLGO. I'm really thinking about flattening out my trade here on MLGO. This is not what I want on this name. It really isn't. So I'm going to move up my stop into this monster, and I'm going to put it at 69s. So here we go. We're going to throw it there, and then I'm going to keep a tight stop. I don't care if I give back some money here. I don't like the pattern, and the pattern is why I'm in the trade. The pattern is going to get me out because this is looking awfully precarious. Back into here we go. ONVO is open, showing 55s right now. Bit of a sell at 55s. Let's see if we can weasel on up. We're showing 57s now, so not a bad look here. It's definitely not parabolic. It's still holding above the 10 exponential on the 5. ONVO still holding at these levels, but looking like it might drop. Now, I've got a planned DCA right at that 10 exponential, and I will have another DCA if it does lose a bid there at VWAP, because this one has been respectful of the volume weighted average price. So we're going to keep an eye out on this. Joseph, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm cooking up on some Walmart, guys. I mean, this is what I like to do, and I just like to find relative strength. Sharif mentioned it yesterday, and we mention it all the time. We know that tech is relatively weak right now. It's hard to trade the NAS if you're long biased. It's hard to trade the SPY if you're long biased, and some of these tech names as well too. So what do we got to do if we're looking for those longs? What does our good friend Jim Cramer always say? There's a bull market somewhere, all right? Beginning of Mad Money. There's a bull market somewhere, and it's our job to identify it.
Bang.
Now we're sitting in some Walmart here. This isn't the best entry. I would like to be closer in at VWAP, but that's okay. Let's see if we can take a second leg higher here, guys. On Walmart, we're up about 3.1% on the session. But one thing I want to do is just talk about the top performing sectors. So we have the energy sector at the bottom of its class, okay? So it is in last place, down about 2%. The communication service is down about 1.8%. And the consumer discretionary down about 1.74%. So obviously being led by the likes of Amazon and Tesla in the discretionary aspect. Communications, we got Google and Meta, all right? So we need to keep that in mind. But what we have at the top of its class in first place in the best performing sector is the consumer staples. We're up about 1.6% on the session. And then real estate again in second place for the second day in a row, up about 1.25%. And then the healthcare about 0.25% up. So now it is my job to find something that is relatively strong. And to be totally frank with you guys, I swung the bat hard this morning. I was short on Palantir. I swung and missed over 3, and that's okay, right? Katina Man said, yo, you gotta swing it hard. That's the only way to make money, and it's true. You have to do those things. And guess what? Unfortunately, in this game, it doesn't always go your way. So what do you gotta do? You take it on the chin and just look for the next trade. Everybody here says look for the next trade. It's one single day, nothing to cry home about. Just be patient, have those risk measures in place. If you get stopped out on the day, that's okay. Take it off and go find something else to do. Now, guys,
what?
Let's see if we can continue to climb higher here in Walmart. I think I'm a little bit early on this entry, Sharif, because the volume is really starting to dwindle. But I do believe that we're going to continue to climb higher and higher. But I also had a good swing idea And I was telling you guys this yesterday as well. If this candle here on Walmart closes as a hammer, I'm going to look to get involved for the long. But now we also have a lot of things working in our favor. This is giving us more conviction. One, we're seeing more sector rotation. And the sector that you're looking to play is holding up compared to the rest of the market. So what do we have to do? We have to get involved in this stock. And that's why we're swinging here on Walmart from a swing standpoint to hold on to this, and from an intraday standpoint. So I'm going to stick to the sectors that are strong and avoid things that are weak, because that is my style of trading. But let's see what Adair's up to, guys.
Just be aware here right now, TSM and Apple on watch. Apple is actually having its shareholder meeting right now, its annual shareholder meeting. And Tim Cook, CEO of the company, said that Apple is actually going to be TSM's Arizona factory's largest customer. So Apple's said to be the largest customer of TSM's Arizona factory. So keep an eye on TSM here, basically at day's lows. As for Apple, we are at day's highs. Apple continuing to basically move inverse of the market. So AAPL strong on its shareholder meeting day, TSM on watch as well. And I think it's worth noting too, we've got this shareholder meeting for Apple, but in case you missed it, it was mentioned earlier, PayPal also has its investor day today. So PYPL still on watch, though I have heard nothing from that meeting, guys. Back to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Adair. I was just complaining to myself there that I didn't even know it was the AGM for Apple. So a fantastic shareholder I am, Joseph. No, but Tina Man is letting me know. Like, bro, are you making any decisions over there? No, I'm not.
Right, exactly. So you're not going to find out about it right away, right? That's all you can do, man.
Joseph, here's what we did, baby.
What'd you do?
We did well on ONVO. We took it out there into the break of 69.
Hey.
But we did get stopped out break even on the last little part there. It is halted down. I am no longer involved in it, but as you can see there on your screen, I am looking at getting back in. I'm looking at getting in at VWAP. Call them crazy, but that's what I'm looking at there. I'm seeing higher lows with the area low at 9:55 a.m. at that dollar area, and then another area low right at 11. That's about $1.20. So it's higher low, higher low, higher low. So that's the situation right now. But it is this one that's irking me to no end. But that's okay. I've moved up the stop on MLGO, and it's either going to hold 70 pennies or it's going to have no part in my trade the rest of the day. It is putting in lower highs, and it feels awfully flat bottom breakish. Here's that flat bottom break. I perceive it to be at around 470. So we kind of defended 470 over here at 1110. We defended it again over here despite the fact that we wicked below it, but you can see the closing prints all around that 470 area. All the while, we are putting in these lower highs over here. So now we're moving back up, and I would be remiss if I didn't wet my beak here for a 4-penny winner, given that I'm complaining that a flat bottom break is imminent on this thing. So I set up an order there for a quick beak wetter. It's not much of a win at all, but we shall take it. What's wrong, Katina Man? The Katina Man's complaining about Apple because he doesn't have enough shares. But he's like $5 on the money, but he's still complaining about it. He's $4. Did you hear that, bro?
Yeah, I heard it.
It's like correcting me, but like I'm exaggerating with the 5, and he's actually 4 in the money. 4. What a guy. All right, guys. No, seriously. Apple's rocketing up right now. We could see 250 awfully soon. We are on the way, guys, to 249 on the dead one, Apple. It ain't dead today, baby. It hasn't been dead for the last little while. It's been very counter market. I'm more pleased I could not be. What's up?
No, but you said that yesterday, though. When you were showing me your screen, you're like, look at all these tech stocks.
I said that specifically
Specifically.
to you. Yeah.
And he's like, look at all these tech stocks, and then look at Apple holding up. Why isn't it selling, right? Look for relative strength. Continue.
China. That's what I'm thinking about that. The association with Alibaba, and I think that's what the market is looking at here. I don't think it's the 500 billion that moved the needle. In fact, you could kind of make the argument that moved the needle the other way with CapEx. Look, they only have about $100 billion in cash on their balance sheet. Right now.
Only.
Yeah, well, I know, but they're talking about spending $500 billion. Where's that money going to come from, right? So that's the concerning part to me. But as I mentioned to you guys yesterday, the Wall Street Journal had a piece that this $500 billion was already on the books. It's basically a reallocation or a redistribution from previously allotted money into different areas. So if you subscribe to that thinking, then you may not worry too much about that. from that perspective. I happen to be a little agnostic about AI spend right now. I just don't know enough to know if DeepSeek really did change things or not. We're going to probably tell maybe three, 4 quarters down the road, maybe a year later or so, whether that is in fact the case. All right, back to MLGO. We're still zigging, we're still zagging, we're still holding VWAP, but that flat bottom break looks like it's imminent here. Joseph, what's going on?
Oh, come on, Walmart, man. Yes, finally, that's what I'm saying. Look for relative strength here, guys. Finally getting something to work out for us, and we're in on some Walmart. So as you can see, entry on that pullback, that volume was absolutely dwindling, and then now we're looking to take it a little bit higher. So we're going to start taking some more off the top and trimming until I think we're going to get that breach of high a day here, and that's what I'm going to continue to aim for. Maybe 97.10s here on Walmart, and I love this name. Trust me, Shreve, because I told you, swing from yesterday. I was talking to Gorv about it as well, too. This name is strong. It put in that hammer doji. This is a key signal. We talk about these signals all the time. Now it's time to execute on them. We were even late on the trade. We missed that whole uptrend throughout the earlier session, but we grabbed it on the pullback, and now we put in a new high a day, trading above $97 is Walmart. But there's a couple things I want to talk about in the chat. A lot of people have options questions because the market is tanking. Everybody's like, Joe, what do I do? What do I do? So this is time that we're going to sit back, we're going to take a breath, we're going to relax, we're going to write our trade plans out, and we're going to figure out our total options, no pun intended, and what we can do to continue to lock in those unrealized gains and mitigate the loss of those unrealized gains. All right, so TLP says, Joseph, I bought leaps on Tesla back in January with June 2027 expiry. Okay. I paid $24,000 for those contracts. That's quite a pretty penny, and I'm up 50%. Should I hold to expiry or sell it now? Well, you got 2 years, my friend. So again, this is what I was just referring to. This is where you got to write out your game plan. If you have multiple contracts, there is nothing wrong with locking in some gains and then buying those contracts back at a lower price. I'm going to pull up Tesla right now, and I'm going to just put a little of my 2 cents in and where we are, because it's kind of the same narrative of what I was talking with on Bitcoin. When you start running into these double top and into some key support levels, how many times are you going to test them until they break? And look at this. I didn't even mark this out right now. This was previously marked. We have now breached this. This isn't the prettiest head and shoulders pattern, but maybe it's starting to look like that. Shoulder 1, shoulder 2, slightly deformed, but that's okay. So what you want to do is like, hey, do I want to give more of my unrealized gains away, or do I want to lock in something? If you have 5 contracts, if you have 10 contracts, maybe write it down, okay, this is what I want to lock in right now, and maybe it will allow me to buy more contracts, and then put in a trailing stop. What am I willing to give up of my unrealized gains? Okay, I'm willing to give up 50% of what I have right now. You set your stop loss in, and then just sit back and wait for that order to be triggered, or it doesn't get triggered. So that is what I'm going to say to you guys. Write that plan out. What are your profit targets? Put that in there. Pardon me? Oh, but so put those profit targets in. And how much, if you're in the money, if you're up 50%, if you're up 100%, how much of that unrealized gain are you willing to give away? Write it down, then put in your orders and execute as followed. And just leave it as that. Don't complicate the system. Just do that. Leave it simple. And sure enough, at the end of the day, you'll be happy. There's always going to be a time where like, oh, I wish I had more shares. We say that every day. They'd be like, oh, I wish I didn't let it go down as far. But if you write down that plan and you continue to stick with it, you're going to be happy. I was talking about yesterday paying yourself all the time in the markets, and I think you should do so. And with that, you're going to write down game plans and execute and follow, and you'll be a much happier trader. Okay, guys? So let's see what we got going on with Walmart. We're going to continue to trim some off the top. We took about 40% off now. Going to take off another 10% here, guys, and see what we can cook. And I don't know how high this thing can go. What a beautiful signal in this name. Let's take a look at it from a daily perspective and see what we got cooking up. As you can see, we were down close to 12% in Walmart. This Shreve's like, Joe, they lowered 26 guidance. That's a year from now. We're not too worried about it. This is America's darling. Everybody in America loves shopping at Walmart. We love it over here in Canada as well, too. Their e-commerce section is growing as well. More people buying online. I think Walmart is a long-term buy. Let's see what Adair's up to.
Just be aware here of UNH pushing to the downside here. We're seeing apparently Senator Grassley has launched an inquiry into the company's Medicare billing practices. In case you missed it last week, we had reports that the DOJ was looking into their Medicare billing practices, but UNH denied these claims, calling it misinformation. Now, though, we actually have a senator announcing that there will be an investigation being launched. So UNH pushing pretty heavily to the downside on this news. We're talking new low of days, almost hitting the pre-market low for United Health. Also, just be aware here, we have a brand new post on TTV Research, and it has to do with Nvidia. This individual, Jensen Huang, has taken this company from a company that started in a Denny's in the 90s to its IPO back on January 22nd, 1999, to one of the world's most valuable companies. So if you want to take a look at Nvidia's remarkable market cap growth over the past 25, 26 years now, check this out on X at TTV Research. I'm going to be working on some more NVIDIA graphics as we head into earnings day tomorrow after the bell. Back to the Bash Brothers.
Yeah, Joe, you were saying something, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. A lot of people, like, we're getting great feedback from the chat. Everybody's like, Joe, you're right. Follow these plans, and I'm seeing it from the experienced guys in the chat. They're like, yeah, you got to write out that game plan and just stick to it. Take those profits, because I mentioned again, I'll sound like a broken record at this point. Just pay yourself in this market, because when you have days like this, I was even like to Shreve, man, I like it, the number that I'm down is not very comfortable. Well, guess what, Joe? Pay yourself, and then you won't necessarily feel like that. And then guess what? You're sitting on some cash, and you can buy those stocks back at a cheaper price, Shreve.
Bro, UNH is tanking,
Wow.
man. Dara, are you taking this or what?
I'm watching it.
Yo, this is really coming down, man. This is dollars and dollars at a time here. It's only down 2%, but there doesn't seem to be a bid. This is very aggressive. When Adara called it out, I think we were at 458 or 457. Now we just went down to 451. She's got more for us.
Yeah, again, in case you missed the story, UNH dropping here. Wall Street Journal reporting that U.S. Senator Grassley has launched an inquiry into the company's Medicare billing practices. Part of this drop could also have to do with the fact that this is its second Medicare billing-related sell-off in 3 days. On Friday, we dropped here after the DOJ reported this investigation. CVS also apparently dropping on this. If you're looking for sympathy plays, because you don't really want to trade UNH, Humana is one of these health insurance names that moves kind of similarly. Cigna as well, CI could be one to watch. It's worth noting, though, for UNH, this area that we could be looking for support, because Shreve is asking how far do we go, 438. That was the area that we bounced off of on Friday, and that's the same area that we've had a little bit of support in the past. Regardless, though, that is just a level. And in the meantime, UNH pushing to the downside on more concerns about its Medicare billing. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. I'm just throwing out some stops up in this, you know what. Yep, there we go. Now we're good to go. Okay, guys, here's the deal. We're taking some out here on ONVO. I did add again, as I said I would. If this came into 30, I literally have bottom wick at the moment. Scalp up into 45. Now I'm waiting at 48. Appreciate you, Adara. And then I will be looking for the next peak weather above the $0.50. So let's throw that out right now. But it's not forthcoming. And let me tell you, this is very, very thickly traded. There is a lot of sharage exchanging hands here at literally every penny level. It is a hard row to hoe, basically, to move up on anything up on this one. So be careful with this one. Don't expect explosive movements to the high side. It hasn't been forthcoming in that regard. So I've taken basically 3/5 out here. Now we're waiting with the remaining 2/5. Now I'm also dip trading here, possibly looking to get filled on SMST. This thing's up 20%. It did very much respect VWAP on that 775, 780 dip prior. Now we've got a bit of a double top here at 8 1/3. But I'm willing to take my chances at VWAP, at least for a perfunctory bounce. Where's that VWAP at? 790. I'm looking at 788s actually. I'm looking at front running it there by putting my order at 791. I'd like to get filled here, but I've already thrown out a stop in case I do get filled and then all hell breaks loose to the downside. I will get stopped out through this break of this area trough right here, but it doesn't look like it's giving up the ghost, at least not yet, at this $8 area. So I'm packing my patience and keeping my eye on it. If it's going to defend 8 and put in that higher low and not want to retrace the VWAP, well, then that's something I need to take account of as well, because that'll be a higher low with a possible flat top break as opposed to a flat bottom break, like the one that we just got on MLGO. And I'm more pleased I could not be that I did move up my stop as I said I would. So we got stopped out right here for a 10-penny loss on the remaining amount, but I was able to extract some off it over here. So in case you're wondering, what the hell is this guy talking about, flat bottom break? Here's what I mean. So typically when we have these lower highs and that same area low, that same area that's been defended, in this particular case on MLGO, it was 470. We defended 470 here. We defended 470 there. And then we hung around 470 over here only for us to really lose the bid there and drop to 440. That's what I mean by a flat bottom break. You typically see that when you have these descending patterns with lower highs, but that same area low. That's what the flat bottom is. Looks like it's trying to curl back up. Now look, if you're inclined to short these bad boys, look for that 470 now as resistance. It initially was support. I'll submit to you it could be an important area of resistance this time around as it works back into that area. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I won't be shorting MLGO. I don't typically short these small cap gappers. It requires me to get shorts, and then, you know, it's the whole thing, so I don't care. Right? Now, here, let's go back to ONVO, Joseph. It dipped right back down into my entry at $1.33. We got 2 candles now in the last 50 minutes that have defended VWAP. I've de-risked the majority of the position. I still am waiting, though, in the high 40s and low 50s, neither of which is forthcoming on this bad boy. But I want to tell you about a different one that I'm looking at right now. This one looks good. However, I will not trade it until it takes out that pre-market high. Where's that pre-market high at? This is the one I'm looking at, MFI. MFI has a pre-market high of $1.50, okay? So I won't be trading it until it clears that $1.50. I put an alert at $1.45. Now this looks really good. It's above VWAP. It looks like it's bull flagging. It's trading near the local area highs. But again, I won't trade it below that pre-market high because I've seen this story before where you have bag holders and shorts that are looking to participate with the bag holders that keep this down from going above the pre-market high. So we're going to have to clear that pre-market high for me to get involved as along on MFI, but I've got it on watch here. It looks good, man. It looks like it's going to break out through that $1.25. And you get plenty of FOMO, like, oh, you know, let me just scalp a little bit on it, but I'm going to stick to my rules, and that's that. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. And if Apple 250 is incoming. Okay, so Apple 250 did come in, and that is currently the high of the day. I feel that this might be a short. I don't think we clear 250 with ease on a day and in a week where the market has gotten shellacked, whether it's relatively strong or not. So we're at 250. That is exactly the high of the day right now on the dot on Apple, and we're dropping below it by about 65 pennies or so. It's a topping tail candle, but I don't want to put too much stock into that. But Apple 250 right now, great look there. I'm going to continue to watch this to see if a short may be setting up here. But AAPL, Joseph, well, yeah, interesting look here. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm just trying to navigate here some UNH. This thing's really spready, guys, so just be wary of that. We got about a 50-cent spread cooking up, even $1 at some times. Woo. So we really got to be patient. You've got to mitigate risk. I believe that momentum's to the downside, took a little scalp to the top side, and I want to see if this thing can break the low a day. So really, really weak stock. It just flushed with extreme momentum, so we're just looking to participate on that front. But if it continues to bounce around like this at these key levels, it's also a little bit more expensive for me as well too, sitting closer to that $500 range, so it's about $450 right now. So just be prepared that you're going to get fluctuations, you're going to have widespread, and it's going to be really, really difficult to manage. So really put those risk measures in place, guys, with UNH. But let's also see what we got going on with Walmart, because that was been the best one of the day so far. Pulling back, we put in a new high of day, up about 3.5% on the session. So I really, really like the staples here, guys. This is something I'm going to be keeping my eyes on, especially if we continue in this sector rotation. Money coming out of tech and getting slightly more defensive with the likes of Target I've seen at the top of its class, Costco and Walmart. So those are the 3 big names that I am going to be looking at. Now let's see what everybody else here in the chat is saying. Adara says, let's go get it, UNH. Let's go, Adara. Thank you for that one. So let's see what Stevenson says. 10:30 on Tesla, short this morning. Oh, you made $1,030, only $33 until I passed the challenge. Congratulations. I won't make the same mistake as I did last time. Met my goal, log out. I will try again tomorrow. And that's exactly what you do. Charlie in the chat was also like, Joe, I've made my money today, so guess what? I'm going to go and do something else. And when you, in market sentiment like this, if you've hit those goals and you have the ability to just step away, go hit the gym and go do something else productive, then by all means do that. And if you've, even the total opposite, if you hit your loss, just put it away for the day and don't worry about what's going on, all right? Because there's always going to be another session. We are now 3 red days in a row. So are we going to bounce? Eventually we will. We're not just going to continue to the tank. I mentioned big money is involved in these names as well, every single name, and they don't let things just depreciate and capitulate kind of like the market has been for the past couple of days. So I'm going to continue to stick in with Walmart and UNH, hoping that we can maybe possibly touch in at 450, because that's going to be my primary target. And then I'm going to get all out of this because I want to follow this downside momentum. You can see the volume here, guys, UNH on this name, really, really high to the downside. And these pullbacks are slightly micro because the volume is not kicking in. So what we need is those sellers to step back in, a new sell program, new participants to continue to push this name lower and lower, guys. So yeah, let's see what else everybody else in the chat is looking at. Put some tickers and we'll go over them. But as of right now, I'm going to stick to these two names, Walmart and UNH. Sharif.
Yes, sir. Pleased as dang punch with this ONVO trade. I got in at $1.33 twice, Joseph. Initially at VWAP over here, and then the same level came in and I added there again. We scalp up there into $1.52, so I'm pleased as punch with this trade. Let's keep an eye on it. If it wants to rinse and repeat here, we'll do it. But here's the deal. If we get a breakout trade on this one, I'm less likely to want to get in just based on how this bad boy has traded. It is very thickly traded. What do I mean by that? That means the amount of volume that's chopping and churning on this name versus the amount of price ascension or descension is quite low. So your volume ratio or to price movement, I don't know if that's ever been discussed, but to me, it's something that I'm starting to notice right now. The amount of volume that's chopping and churning versus the amount of price action that we're getting is awfully low. So I don't want to be that schmuck who looks for the breakout trade on a name that's really kind of being kept down by, well, it looks like aggressive profit taking or aggressive short selling at this level. So this $1.50, I'm all eyes and ears on. If it wants to clear it on a closing basis, great. But it's really going to have to get closer to that $1.83 for me to want to take out the breakout trade. So I'm keeping my eye out on that. Now, I got into a very small entry position here on SMST. Let me explain why. So as you can see, I've still got my dip trade set up at 790. I'm probably going to move that up a skosh so that I can front run VWAP. But why did I get in here? So I'll explain that. This is the area low, that area that goes right into 775, so you can call this the area trough, right? And then we have another area low here. After making another new high, another intraday high, we came back down into 8, we defended 8. And then we moved up on our merry way to go back into the high teens. So to me, I perceive this area here as an area low. So if that is the case, then I want to get in a little bit over here for a possible breakout trade above that 8 1/3. And if I don't get the breakout trade, then I've gotten it a little bit and I can continue to plan or continue to execute my trade in the way that I planned, which was to get in initially or the substantial amount at VWAP. That's exactly what we're doing right now. That's my plan on SMST. Looks like I'm break even on at the moment, despite the fact that it worked its way up right into my beak wetter there at around 820. I'm still going to plan the dollar cost average into this name. I'm talking about SMST. ONVO is halted to the upside now without me. $1.64, Joseph. This is why I'm going to go like this on my own over here. Despite the fact that I thought I had a good trade with the bottom wick, we didn't leave a piece for the dream. I was made to pay. It's now halted to the upside at $1.64, and it's without me. Back to SMST. Here we go, showing me 19s. That's exactly where I'm waiting. It's a 1 penny spread, bro. Somebody's got to tell this one. I should be getting the fill right now. The fill isn't coming, so I'm going to take it here and cancel that one. So there we go. Cancel it. There we go. Now we're canceled. Good. So we'll take it out a little bit lower than we expected, and I'll re-put that order to the high side. Andre, I missed the message. Sorry, brother. What were you saying? Adara. Adara's at the big desk.
What's been happening pretty much all day in this market is a sell-off. Lots of weakness. We had this 520 level on the NASDAQ support yesterday, then kind of rejecting a little bit pre-market, then as the open just pushing to the downside, currently trading around 513, so we have bounced off of the lows. UNH probably today's biggest intraday mover. The spread on this really volatile. We're talking right now it's about 20 cents. It's gotten as large as over $1, so be aware of the spread on United Health. But basically, reports that Senator Grassley is opening an investigation into the company's Medicare billing practices just 2 days after we had a Wall Street Journal report suggesting that the DOJ had been investigating these practices. Keep an eye on Apple as well. We know that they're actually having their annual shareholder meeting today. And Tim Cook, the company CEO, said that Apple's going to be TSM's largest customer for their Arizona production plant. Also, PayPal having an investor meeting today as well. So be aware of both those companies. So many tickers to watch out for today. Make sure you like and subscribe and join us every single day if you enjoy what we have to offer. And with that, we're going to go back to the Bash Brothers.
Get it, Adara.
Get it, Adara. Yeah, we're sitting in this UNH still here, guys. This is like, that's the thing, right? When a stock fluctuates points at a time, it's like, palms slightly sweaty, but hopefully we break down. Yeah, I'm serious. Slightly sweaty. But you know what I mean? One thing that I have going for me in this trade here, Sharif, is that the weakness in the pullback candles, all right? So you can see the strength in the down moves, but as we pull back here, they're less genuine moves and less orderly, so slightly indecision. So what does this tell me? That, hey, this might be just a possible cover, some covering candles, right? So people are just covering those shorts, and I'm waiting for that momentum to the downside to step back in. Is it going to? Maybe or maybe not. But what I'm hoping for in this trade is that this weakness in these current prints are going to lead to that second leg lower. And Sharif mentioned a good point. We're only down about 1.4%. Can we go lower? I think so. But at this point, we just have to be really, really patient. And what we're also going to hold on to here is Walmart, guys. Holding on to this name. This might be a potential add here as well. I don't know how much higher we can go because a 4% day in these staples names is pretty hefty one. As we put in almost a double top here, coming back down. So hold on to the remainder. We got about 30% or so left of this position. Let's see if we can hold on and then wait for that potential add. But it's UNH that we're really keeping our eyes on here, guys. This is the tough one. This is the palm. This is what's going to get your palm sweaty in this type of name. But I know a lot of people in the chat are like, can we look at MSTR? For sure. And I know Sean was talking about it as well too this morning. Like, at what point is this guy going to be like in Bitcoin? Because he keeps raising money. It's essentially borrowed money. So at what point is he going to be scratching his head? And how is he going to continue to raise money in these lower prices? He was buying all up at the top in 100,000, even more. He was allocating as much as he can. But now you're starting to get dipped. Do you think this guy would ever get liquidated or anything?
It's a really good question. He was really close in 2022. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't.
Yeah, he was in trouble. Yeah. There was like very little room left. Like he was getting, I don't know if it was a margin call or whatever.
There you go.
The Katina man's got something on.
Oh, so man. No way.
Sick. Get it, Michael.
That's
insane.
He's
probably pumped right now because he's probably adding to his position.
Yeah, but how much? But you don't have unlimited money. Like, how much more can you keep adding, right?
He seems to find money up the wazoo somewhere, somehow, Joseph. People seem to want to give him money.
Because his first venture went down the drain, didn't it? And his first business, his first business didn't do so well. Okay. So that's why he kind of switched over to Bitcoin. But at what point are investors going to be like, I don't know, Mr. Michael, we can't give you too much money because we've already given you hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, yeah, that, for sure. He seemed to be of the opinion, well, especially after the election when he was giving a lot of interviews when Bitcoin got to that 100,000. He was like, he's closing like $500 million deals. They're throwing 500 milli at him. They're throwing 250 milli at him. So we'll see, Joseph. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on behind the scenes there. He's not going to really let you know.
Put it in the chat, guys. If anybody knows this guy's average price or what his potential gameplay, like we're gonna find that out too. Let's see. But I want to see if there's like a general consensus that because I know there's a couple different numbers out there. I heard 68s or something along those lines. But he was allocating a lot up here in the 100,000s, and that takes a lot of capital to do so, to keep buying Bitcoin at those price levels. And it's like, Michael, maybe you should have waited if you thought this was going to continue to move lower, because he was buying a lot straight and price wasn't doing anything. So it's like, okay, what is happening here in this name? I'm not completely writing it off. It's just like, what is the game plan truly? And I'm curious to what people have to say in the chat. What is his average price? I want to know this on Mr.
Yeah, we
Saylor.
can find that out in a second. I don't think that should be too hard, but we'll wait till Adara gets back and maybe she'll help us out with that. Look, dude, I'm still involved in this name right here. Let's go into, where's it at? Show yourself. SMST. Okay. Still putting in higher lows. I'm a little disappointed with myself because I had that beak wetter, or sorry, not beak wetter, to add. That's what I'm trying to say. My ad order there at 805, it got to 806s, which is what it's doing right now. I'd like to get an ad here if possible because we're getting higher lows, and I feel this one might be very flat top breakish if we can get back into that 8 1/3. Specifically, if we can defend that volume weighted average price. I don't mind dollar cost averaging into that volume weighted average price. And that's exactly what I've done. I mean, what you guys are looking at there, those baby blue lines on the screen, those are just for decoration. Those are resting additions into my order, which I'm at 13s right now, so currently break even. ONVO is the name I've been involved in all morning. It halted to the upside, as I mentioned, at 69s. Now it is halted to the downside at 46. But I was talking to Adara about this in the morning, and she was asking me specifically about, like, you know, I've seen you get caught in up halts and down halts lately. You never really wanted to get caught in halts before. How come you're getting caught in them now? And my explanation was quite simple. Because the trend is still intact. Even if we get caught in a down halt, if we're still putting in higher lows on that down halt, specifically if you're above technical areas, areas that I use are the 10, EMA, and VWAP, I'm fine with that. I'm caught in a down halt, great. It's not the best feeling to be in. You're constantly looking at the top, the theoretical auction price. You don't know if the bottom is going to come off. But what keeps me, I don't want to say confident, but what keeps me focused on the trade is the pattern that preceded the halt. If we kept putting in higher lows and higher highs, well, then maybe we can continue with those higher lows and higher highs. Maybe it's down halted because of the lack of liquidity, or maybe too much liquidity coming in and moving it around and triggering those halt parameters. So I don't mind getting caught in down halts like I used to before, so long as we're still technically sound. That means we're above the areas that I need to be above in order to be involved in the trade. You guys know that's VWAP and the pre-market high, as well as still holding the pattern. So I have no problem getting caught in these halts as long as we are doing our thing 21. All right, 25, I mean. All right, so we're back to SMST over here, still going unadded. I don't know why I didn't move up my order from 05s to 06s, especially when it kept showing me that 05s were not printing. Now it's at 16s. Oh, I forgot to mention that the Katina Man is short Google. All right, so let's pull up Google's chart over here. The Katina Man took a short position on Google about 5 or 10 minutes ago. He did mention that to me, but I forgot to mention it, sadly, because Joseph was still talking at the time. Great look there, Katina Man. The Katina Man short Google at around 176 2/3.
Exactly 177.
What, exactly 177. So he's over 50 pennies in the money at the moment, and you can see we got into that area, Katina Main, that we were already chopping and churning at. So we already knew that there was likely going to be a little bit of resistance at this $177. So we hope he prints up a storm. We're going to shout out the Katina Man, and we're going to check back in with that Google position shortly to update you guys on how it's going. Joseph Wilson, what do you got?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of interesting stuff in the chat here, guys. Clua says Microstrategy states the average purchase price is $62,000 per Bitcoin with a total cost of $27.95 billion. okay? And then we're getting around the 60s, the 68, 66s. So yeah, that's what it seems to be. But I swore it was around those levels before he was buying at 100K, 110K, and raising hundreds of millions of dollars. But by all means, he obviously knows the books better than I, guys. But let's see what we got going on in UNH. It's looking like we might break down. 450 is that price target that we are looking for, slowly curling over. I told you these price action prints are something that I'm definitely looking at and going to be keeping an eye on. If we can break this support level here around that 452 level, then I believe we're going to hit 450 potentially as the next target. Also, people are mentioning, hey, he doesn't buy it on the market, it's OTC, so it doesn't move the price. Fair enough. I totally understand that. Unsecured Microstrategy debt, there's no specific Bitcoin price that would trigger an automatic liquidation or margin call. Hypothetically, if Bitcoin price were to plummet to around $16,500, okay? Well, that's hefty, and that's billions of dollars gone. So again, yeah, maybe he is looking for something else to do. But I swore, like with institutionals stepping in, we know that we consolidated for an extended period of time. I'll bring up the IBIT chart here for you guys so we can just go over it. And one thing that I find slightly disappointing in this name is just the lengths of the consolidation phases to essentially just break down, which is like, that's not really too much fun for me. But here we go. I mentioned before, 8 months of consolidation. Yes, we moved about 33% higher, but then we also been consolidating since November. So we're 3 months in on that front as well too, guys, and decided to break down. Multiple tests to construct a new all-time high, and we couldn't do it. There wasn't enough demand up higher in these higher prices, north of that $110,000 target there on Bitcoin. So here we go. We're gonna go lower and lower. What is the next target? I don't know. Are we going to get into the 70s again? Are we going to go into that breakout range? It's looking like, but here we go on some UNH, guys, starting to break through that support system and heading lower and lower. Adara, are you in this as well? Adara is not in it. That's good. Just be weary of the spread. Just be weary of the spread, guys. You're in the dollar club, Katina man. How many? Just short of Google right now. So he's still cooking up a storm. I tried a swing position on Google that didn't work. That's okay. We're heading lower on these big names like Alphabet. So again, the market is only down 3% or so, just a little bit over. Sit on some cash. We're not quite in correction territory just yet, but just look at the price action. We're chopping around. Keep that in mind, guys. It's tough. It's tough to say. It's tough to say, man. Let's go. Let's see what Adara's up to.
Keep an eye on Robinhood here. Robinhood, apparently, I'm seeing these reports that Vlad Tenev, the company's CEO, is apparently forecasting that the company will be a place for buying and selling real estate. It is worth noting these comments can't always be recontextualized. We know in the past he said that he sees Robinhood as a place for sports betting, and then they've reneged that, so just be aware. HOOD apparently, reportedly, looking at potentially being a place for buying and selling real estate. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara.
Yep.
Okay. SMST, we just wet the beak there as it broke through 20, so we got 22s. We're riding on 22s on this bad boy, and now I'm waiting at 31. So I'm quite disappointed with myself, though, in how I traded this. Specifically, why I'm disappointed is because I had a DCA at 05, but it showed me on a 3-candle basis that 05 was not printing and that it was holding at 06, so there was a buyer of note, despite the fact that they were not reflected on the bid on the level 2. I should have been alive to that. I wasn't, and I didn't add, and now I've only got one B quarter left. So I'm disappointed with how I executed on this. Should have done a little bit better. We'll look to do a little bit better next time. So here's the look on SMST. I'm going to leave these orders because I think they are still valid, especially the ones that go into 790 on SMST. So keep tabs on that. What's going on over there, Katina man? The Google's still tanking?
It moved a lot faster than I thought, so I started.
The Katina man is covering his Google position. You wet your beacon to VWAP, I'm assuming, because it gave way at VWAP. You just took $1 there because it went into 176. So we're going to hit the dollar club for the Katina man there on that Google short. Google, as like with most of these names, Joseph, in Meg 7 World, getting shellacked today. I thought certainly Tesla was going to go SSR. We got down, I think, 9.5%.
Yeah.
So we were like half a percentage point from hitting that SSR short sale restricted for the newer traders out there.
And that'd be a couple times in a couple weeks too.
Yeah,
on,
exactly.
On Tesla.
So just for the newer traders out there, if you don't know what short sale restriction is, essentially once a stock drops or moves up 10% in a day, what it is like you cannot short it on a downtick. You're going to have to wait for an uptick. So what does that mean? So 302.59 is where Tesla's trading. So if it went 302.59, 302.55, 51, you wouldn't be able to get short anywhere there. You're going to have to wait for the price to move up in order to get that short. The point of that parameter is to kind of alleviate the bleeding and don't allow it to kind of tank anymore. So short sale restriction kicks in after 10% has been triggered from the previous day's closing price. That's the reference point there. So yeah, just make sure you kind of know all these rules. Obviously, it behooves you to know that if you're going to put this and you're going to make this your thing. So that's the situation right now. Let's go back to ONVO because it's still the one of note here. Here we go again. This one is putting in higher lows, and it's very respectful of VWAP. My only criticism on ONVO is not that it's up 325%, not that it's above VWAP, not that it's at near day's highs, but it's very thickly traded. It is hard to get a big sustained up movement here on this name. In addition to that, because it's a dollar, a 10-cent move or a little bit more than 10 cents triggers a halt parameter because it moves 10% in less than 5 minutes. So that becomes a bit of trouble, right? You don't get that momentum going in your favor like you would with a different name. So it's a bit tough here. You're going to have to size into this one to make any real money, but that's fine. It's done 285 million shares on the day. You shouldn't have a problem getting in and getting out. Plenty of liquidity, Joseph, to go around.
Yes, sir. We're going to start trimming this on UNH, guys. See if we can catch a fill. We got that order out. Looking really good. I don't know if we're going to break down. I would expect a little bit more momentum. There we go. Bang. Nice little fill there on UNH. 450 the next one. That momentum has definitely dwindled down. You can see it from a volume by time standpoint here, guys. Keep an eye on that. Extreme flushing here in this name. And then now we have since cooled off. So let's see if we can hold on to this position slightly longer, but we're still cooking up here in Walmart. I think this is one of the better names on the session, up about 3.5%. It was closer to 4 at these local highs. So again, are we going to add to this all the way up here? I don't think so, but if we consolidate a little longer and then go to the bottom of this range and hold the range once again, then we might be able to take that third leg higher. But you can see here, leg 1, leg 2, and then possibly leg 3 if you want to classify it as that. But those pullbacks are extremely tight, and this name is overly strong. So let's see what everybody else is up to. What are you guys looking at in the chat? One thing I do want to go over here is some of the higher volume stocks on the session and see who is at the top of its class. So scanners here. We got Nvidia with 150 million shares traded on the session. That's quite a bit. That's a lot notionally. PLTR 86.8 million. Tesla 81.2 million, and SMCI with 70 million, and then IBIT with 67 million shares traded here on the session, and we're at that halfway point, guys. So a lot more to come, especially on days like this. People get to panic selling. You get that capitulation that we've seen over the previous days. They look at their accounts and they start seeing those unrealized gains start to dwindle. They're like, okay, this isn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. Let me hop out and get right back in. So holding on to some of these names. Hopefully we can get some more downside here on UNH and some more topside here on Walmart. I am looking for these strong sectors, and healthcare was number 3 actually, Sharif. So at up about 0.25%. Sorry there, guys. Let's see if anything has changed since then. So yeah, we're down slightly more, probably being led by United Healthcare to the downside. So we got to keep that in mind. But it's only down about 1.8%. Materials has now taken that third spot, up about 0.4, and the real estate and consumer staples sitting in those top 2 spots. Let's see what Costco was up to. I know everybody's waiting for the split on this name.
All right, so I got to interrupt you here.
Go ahead.
My buddy Jay Hope is watching, and he just messaged me right now. He's like, yo, Costco looks fantastic.
No way. Oh, yeah.
He works at Costco,
Oh,
too.
does he? All right,
yeah,
nice.
So he's definitely looking at that.
Man, they get shares, too, right? That you can have like a share program as well. Yeah. Is it
So, yeah, Jay. Give him a good analysis here. Bro.
On this, okay, so I don't even really know what else to say other than this name. Like, if you want to own any stock, Sharif, is it anything other than this trend? If we were to eliminate that name, I would be like, hey, I want to buy in on this name. Forget the numbers, forget the name of it, forget what sector is in. This is a stock that I want to own. And Sharif, I don't know too many grocery stores that have a membership fee, right? So is that big? That's yeah, exactly. So that's really, really good for this company. That's just straight margin right there coming in, and they raised it as well too. The membership fee, something a Dollarama. I don't even. What is the ticker on Dollarama there? DLRMA, is it? No, it's definitely DOL. DOL?
On the TSC,
on the TSC, that's Canadian stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have access to that right now. But I mean, this is something that I would want to own. Costco is like a phenomenal company, as well as Walmart, even though we have sold. But look at these primary trends. If you buy the dip, I mentioned this, you have to go all the way back to March of 22 or May of 22 to see anything relatively close to a 12% dip in this name. So you want to buy it. And that's the exact same thing with Costco here, guys. There's nothing wrong with this. You want to get involved in this name. Look at these pullbacks, buy them. And the primary trend is just absolutely intact. This is a name. If it splits, I'm most definitely going to be getting involved in Shree.
Nice, man. I mean, it's a monster.
Monster. Nothing short of a monster.
Jay wants to know why Meta is blowing up right now. Jay, what happened was Meta was a dang rocket ship the past month. I mean, it hit all-time highs. Every day we came into the office, it was making new highs. A lot of what was made, obviously, was kind of the change in philosophy, let's put it like that without getting too political, in Meta after the Trump win there. So it had an aggressive run-up. I'm assuming this is a trade to the downside here because nothing fundamentally has changed with the company. Could be some profit-taking. We know Zuck was selling up there as well to, cash in on some of the recent move up. But yeah, there's really nothing fundamental that's changed, Justin, with Meta. I'm just assuming that 740 level was obviously an all-time high. We saw this with Apple as well, Jay. Go back and have a look at mid-December when Apple hit 260. Subsequent to that, not much changed. We heard a little bit about China this, China that. But that hadn't been too much in change in Apple, but it sold, went all the way down to 220. These stocks have a tendency of doing that. Once you hit all-time highs, they zig and they zag, and there's some profit taking there. So I would say, if you're interested in Meta, you should be building your position on the moves down. I don't think anything. I don't think nothing has happened with the digital advertising game. You know, Hashem works in digital advertising, Jay, and he gives me all the inside info about campaigns that are at a discount. And when you get these campaigns at a discount, you know that Meta wants to juice the numbers for the next coming quarter. And so Hashem is all involved in that. So he's always giving me little tidbits about that, the digital advertising game. So that's just my kind of 2 cents on Meta at the moment. All right, guys. I added into SMST at a bit of a higher level. And I also got back into ONVO. I'm in at 58s. I went to beak there at 62s. Now I'm waiting at 65s and then 71s. This one is putting in consistently higher lows. You don't need to be a chartered market technician to connect these area lows right here. Area low, area low. I had a couple of wicks there at the area lows. And now we're looking for that flat top break. But again, I'm going to keep saying it. I hope I don't bore you to death. But this one is a very thickly traded name, and you will have to pack your patience to get those to get those beak wetters there. All right, let's move back to SMST because I did get my ad at 5s. What's my cost basis now? 9s. So this one is now coming a little bit down now. So those higher low situations on SMST might be they might be in jeopardy at the moment. I want to see how this one trades at 8. Got cost basis at 9, so it behooves me to throw out some beak wetters, possibly in the mid-teens there, to take advantage of a spike up. The best print I've had on this monster was 20s. I'm still waiting at 8s, and I'm still waiting at 95s. So that's a look right there. Keeping my eye out on that. And then we got to pay some bills.
Hey, it's time to pay some bills, guys. OGen. Each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., yet there is still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed OGEN is changing That, with its first-in-class international drug designed for rapid brain access, with a concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Organics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more about the schedule, a meeting today at OGN Revise. Guys, there it is. Click the link in the description.
Click it.
Click it and see what's going on. Concussions are a serious thing. Brett Favre was on and talking about them. I think if you played some sports, chances are you've had one. If you played football,
yeah, man.
So you've definitely had
That's the thing.
one
That's
or
the
two,
thing,
right?
bro. Like, I don't know, man. It's insane because we got some shots back in the day, man, and especially there wasn't the spearing. I mean, I don't know if you played in. Did you play in high school?
Yeah, I played high school.
I mean, everybody speared, and it never was called. Yeah. So you would always get like nailed from the side. There was like no protections for the players. There was no defenseless receiver rule. There was nothing like that. So you could get nailed in the head, and everything was fair game. Shout out to the Markham Raiders, baby.
The only thing you couldn't do was horse collar, and everything else was free game, I think, at that point.
Bro, horse collars were rarely called, man. Especially if they got into the jersey. And then we wouldn't get the call unless like the hand was down the actual pad. It was brutal. Worst refereeing, I gotta tell you the truth, was
high school
league,
football.
Man. Yeah. It was ridiculous. It wasn't technically high school because our high school didn't have.
Okay, so you were outside
for the city. Yeah, but I was in high school. So, hey, there's my man. Get it, Justin. He's in the chat, of course, brother. Always looking out. Who else we got here? Jeremy Newman. It was encouraged even. Yeah, bro, I'm telling you. Football back in the day before they really started, tamping down on the aggression and, driving people down into the turf and stuff like that. It was the Wild West. So that's a look there. Joseph Birch Music. I still have neck problems from collisions. Thankfully, I don't think I have too much in the way of that. But, I feel you there, man. Let's see what else people are talking about there. Yeah, Gary Frost. Yes, spearing was constant, normal, and occasionally got called. It was nuts. It was nuts, dude. I mean, I remember. Here's the deal, and there was no weight limit. Okay, so the Markham Raiders, we had our offensive line in high school. I was in grade 11th grade, 16 years old. The offensive line for the Markham Raiders was in the low 200s. So our boys were like 210, 205, 215, something like that. Mississauga?
Yeah.
The offensive line was 265.
Yeah, those boys are some big
insane.
Boys, man.
And I was the running back. And these guys are blocking for me. No, they weren't block. They were being run into me because they were getting pushed back so hard. So what I mean to say is there wasn't really a lot of parity, Joseph. Sometimes you go to another team and they were grown-ass men. And they'd be beating up on boys. So, yeah, we got hit. We definitely got hit, and that was kind of...
That was like Banting High School for us. Like, we were Bradford, but Banting was just like double the size of our high school. So they had everybody was just like double your size. And I mean, I'm probably like a $145 at $150 at max at that time, right? You're 14, 15 years old and playing corner. And it's just like running into those people. I was aggressive because I played hockey and everything, and I loved it. But running into those kids was not fun at sometimes, man.
No, it definitely
like at all. At all.
But back then, we had to play defense and offense. So I sometimes I'd get my revenge because I was strong safety.
Nice.
Just wait until someone's tied up, looking at where the corner is, and just lay my shoulder in the
take their heads off.
We got revenge easy there. All right, let's focus back on the trading up here. Let's have a look at what some of these mag names are doing. Let's weasel on over with the Mag 7 charts. How's the dead one doing? Yeah, I had a feeling. Okay, so that 250 did come into play on Apple. Now we are down here 248.75. So that would have been I should have been taking that trade, and that would have been a very easy out. Anything above 250, you get stopped out. I didn't take it. That's my loss. Now let's look at some others. Meta is recovering, Jay. I don't know, Justin, if you're still watching, but this white line over here, this is what we call the volume weighted average price, and it's exactly what it sounds. We're averaging the price based upon the amount of volume that's taken place at any one price, and then you chart that on the line right there. Why is that important? Well, a lot of algorithms, as well, a lot of big money traders use it for whatever reason. There's many different reasons that they use it, but we always chart it because it seems to act as an area of both support and resistance. Some traders will base a trade off it. Some will have their stop loss based upon it. So when we danced here on Meta with VWAP, we were using it as a resistance. Look at this, Jay. Every time we worked into that level, we kept rejecting it. Then the bid came in and a buyer stepped in, pushed this one above VWAP. Why is that relevant? Why am I talking about it? Because Meta's above VWAP, lo and behold, Amazon not. Amazon using the volume weighted average price still as that resistance level. So you can make little nuanced observations like that, which ones are clearing VWAP, which ones are rejecting VWAP in order to gauge relative strength. Another case in point, look at the monster Nvidia. Nvidia is on one right now, man. Is Nvidia gonna go green? Well, we're only down 2/3%, so realistically, we could see green here on Nvidia. Where do we need to get to in order to see that green? We need to get to $130 and a quarter, give or take. So we're not too far away from it. So NVDA well above VWAP here, and it looks like it's on its way maybe to that $130 area. Now, for the newer traders out there, the whole dollar levels as well as those $10 levels, like that $1.20, that 130, 140, they act sometimes as psychological resistance and support, meaning that when you get into them, you end up finding a wall of sellers, or when you get down to them, you end up meeting a wall of buyers and the price bounces. So keep your eye out on these whole dollar levels as well as the $10 levels. They sometimes act as levels of resistance and support. But looking at the monster tower, the Cybertruck over here, there's an area bid to be had on Tesla. It couldn't even work its way up into VWAP in order to use it as a resistance level. VWAP right now on my chart at 309s. Tesla's at 302 2/3. So a lot of relative weakness in the Cybertruck today as we got word that their sales are not doing that good, sadly. So whether you're looking in Europe, whether you're looking in China, whether you're looking in North America, Tesla's sales are down in January year over year without exception. So it's a bit of a problem. And they didn't really react in the pre-market when we got that information, but all hell did break loose after the bell there. So it's a bit of a tougher look. Obviously, it's one of my positions that I'm quite proud of in my long-term account, just given my cost basis there. But, you know, you're going to have to take the shellackings on days like this, and you're just going to have to put up with it. Otherwise, don't be in the market. Simple as that. Joseph, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I know we got to put up with it, man, but you got to put up with it, man. So, yeah, we got some good stuff. I want to talk a little bit about this call wall here on NVDA, but I want to touch on something here because what I'm seeing on NVDA at that 140 strike is probably some of the largest size I've seen in a while. But first, what I want to talk about is Pocket T-shirt says, I understand the principle, but the max loss / gain stuff spooks me. I'm just going to do one contract per stock to minimize loss. Exactly. So, okay, let's put it this way, Pocket T-shirt. Whatever you pay, Pocket T-shirt. So, yeah, no, that's okay. I don't really understand it, but hey, that's okay. Yeah,
T-shirt pocket?
Pocket T-shirt.
What is that, French?
I don't know, maybe.
Was he flipping the words?
Maybe, so, yeah, I guess so.
Like my dad.
Yeah.
It's like, are you gonna, I don't know, he always flips a word back and forth. So I don't know.
No, that's what, no, but I want to talk about this a little because me with learning Spanish, that's
backwards.
Yeah, it's backwards, right? So we would say a red jacket, and there it's like a jacket red.
Jacket red.
Right? So it's just like, okay, it's slightly confusing, right? So, okay, but anyways, guys, so he says, I understand the principles, but I just don't understand the max loss. So my suggestion is to you, just start buying contracts because you can buy a put and a call. And whatever you pay for that is going to be your max loss. You cannot lose any more than that. So go find a cheap stock that's in a downtrend. What I did for you is I pulled up American Airlines, and I'm like, okay, this thing's in a bearish downtrend. Now let's see what a put cost on an American Airlines. And I'm going to tell you that this is the max loss that you can lose. So if you were to buy the at the money put, it would cost you $28, right? That's the max you can lose on that contract. Mind you, it expires in 3 days, so maybe not the best example. So I'll give you 10 days. So if you buy an at-the-money put, you're going to pay $44 for that at-the-money put, and that's the max you can lose, right? You can make more than that. If it goes lower, right, you can make as much as it will to go to zero, but it's probably not going to go to zero in 10 days. But that's the max loss. So don't be fearful, right? Just face it in the face and face fear right head on and uprise, right? Just get involved, because you're always going to be scared until you get involved. And then once you get comfortable, you'll be able to do more. So if you're just buying contracts, the max that you paid for it is the max that you can lose. And just keep that in mind. Start small and then start building your way up. Now, I want to get to Nvidia here, guys, real quick. And I want to talk about this call wall that I'm seeing at 140
Paul
at
wall?
the call wall here at 100. Paul wall. What was that one song? What was his one song? Yeah, but
Anytime there's anything music in here,
she seems to immediately. So guys, at that $140 strike price, we have 115,000 open contracts. Times that by 100, and that's potential shares. So notionally, that is a lot of money, okay? And I mentioned this this morning in the earlier segment during the pre-market prep show. We talked about this this call and put wall at that $140 strike price. So we now have 115. So that's grew almost 20,000 contracts since yesterday. And now that put wall at that 140 strike is still hovering around that same 85,000 open contracts. So I think that's going to be a key area and a key level in this name come that report tomorrow. And that's exactly what I'm going to be looking at and looking for, because it can act as support and resistance zones. And in order for us to punch through that, someone's gonna have to grab all that liquidity. There's gotta be a participant who says, hey, I wanna be the opposite side of that trade. And that's when I refer to options pinning. Okay, so we have so much going on one side and so much going on the other side, it pins the stock price. So that's exactly what I'm going to be looking out for, because that's some of the largest open interest I've personally seen in a long time, all right, guys? So 140 Nvidia, we like that level. Let's keep an eye out on it. It doesn't mean go straddle or anything along those lines. Just keep an eye out and observe, okay, if you're not familiar with it. But what we do got cooking up here, guys, is we added up here on Walmart, looking to break through that key zone that I was referring to, that resistance zone consolidation, and see if we can continue to climb higher. Now about 3.7% on the session. We're going to start trimming this position, Sharif, because it's working out really well for us, my friend.
All right, man. Sounds good. All right, we went the beak there. So I did get the 8 ad on SMST, took out some at 10s. Let's see this one. It's put in a bit of a hammer candle there into 8. I don't want to take out too much and take it out at a low level. So now I'm packing my patience, waiting at 15s and then 31. So going to let this one cook at the moment and see what comes. It's clearing 10s, showing me 11s now. Not a bad look. Okay. It's this one. I don't know, man. It's the small caps today. There's really no continuity. Or there's, I don't want to say that there's no continuity, but it's just been a hard road to hoe, quite frankly. Here's the deal, though. There is another one that's showing up over here. It goes by the ticker RETO. It's a sub $1 name. So, you know, just by virtue of that, I'm a little sus of it. It's because I don't like trading these ones that are south of $1, but it's got all the right ingredients, okay? To be fair to it. Let me just throw it up on here so it can update. There we go. So it's up 41 1/5, 41 1/2. It's trading around 83 pennies. It's above the pre-market high. It's above VWAP, so it's got all the right ingredients. The only problem is it's south of that $1. Now, why that matters?
Oh, bro.
Go.
Bro, Walmart is squeezing. Yeah, Walmart is squeezing. Oh, yes, I was telling you guys about this trade yesterday. I'm glad I put on some for the swing account here. Right on that hammer candle. Let's take a look at it from a daily perspective and see what we got cooking up. We'll see it from a little bit better here. So WMT, and I'm going to go over this, send it right back to Sharif real quick. But what a monstrous recovery here on Walmart. I mentioned it to you guys from that all-time high all the way to the lows, 12.5%, and now gaining lots of ground, up about 5%, so half of that loss gained just in one day here, guys. I mentioned, okay, so look at this. You see that volume really start to step up to the downside. This company is too good, puts in a hammered candle at some key support levels, and then now putting in a beautiful recovery day off of this hammered doji on Walmart, up about 4% on the session. Sharif, we're going to continue to keep taking some off the top.
That's a fantastic look. I just want to mention that off camera. Before we got onto the show, this dude was adding into his girlfriend's account on Walmart.
So, in mine.
Yeah, I mean, like, and yours. And yours like,
I'm like Walmart,
no, but to be fair, you did call it out. You talked about the hammer candle on the daily. You said if it closed as a hammer candle, that you'd be adding, correct?
Exactly. Okay. And I did follow the plan. And how many times have we said that today, Sharif? It's write out that plan and just execute it. Sometimes it's a lot harder said than done. It may seem like we're just talking like, oh, it's easy. And I'm going to tell you front and foremost that it is harder than what it is, how we explain it.
100%.
So just go and do it and try to make it not as difficult on you.
All right, man, we're doing well here on SMST. I'm really happy that I stuck to my plan. I added where I wanted to add. I didn't add because I was out of the money. I added because there were levels that had to be added too, okay? We're above VWAP. We have that whole dollar level. I added into 8, and now we're showing 21s. I'm long 01s. It's showing me 21s. I'm waiting at 31. So I want a flat top break. And you better believe if we get that flat top break on SMST or SMST, yeah, I will be adding on that because that's going to really push a lot of people out, okay? The flat top break should not be disrespected in the way that the flat bottom break, should also be respected. So we'll keep tabs on that one. SMST, but this is the one I keep talking about right now. It's making higher highs. RETO is on one. Here we go. It's we were talking about this one at 82 pennies, and then Joseph had to tell us about Walmart. Now we're looking like we're going to take out that 96 penny high a day RETO. It's 56% in the clear right now. Let me give you the information on this monster. It is a $3.5 million market cap, which means it is minuscule, and that's being nice to it. 23.5 million shares traded on the day and a float of 3.1 million shares. So a small float, which is good. It makes it, quite parabolically inclined. The short float, though, is bupkis. About 0.48% of that float that I just talked about, 3 million and change, is board for short. So basically negligible short float. There is the high of the day, 99 pennies. This one is on its way to $1. Now, it becomes a different trade, north and south of the dollar. There are algos that will not trade this south of $1. So once it gets above and holds above that dollar, we could see more participation, and we could definitely see the volume pick up on this monster in an aggressive and notable way. In addition to that, you also have more areas of support and resistance when you're south of that dollar because you're trading at 4 decimal places, whereas when you're above that $1, you're trading at 2 decimal places. So even though notionally it doesn't make a difference, you do have different levels that you can post more size at. So instead of putting all your size at 101, 102, 103, you can put it at 101, you can put it at 99.5, 99 1/3, 99 1/4. So there's way more levels to take out. Sadly, south of that $1, it's topping tail candle right now, rejecting that dollar. Well, let's wait and see if this is able to clear it. Adara, kill him with kindness.
Thank you very much, Sharif. If you ask anyone in the market what the biggest catalyst this week is, they're probably not going to say PCE on Friday. No, they're going to say Nvidia earnings. So we've been putting out a couple graphics for you here at TTV Research. I've been hard at work on these. This one features the year-over-year percentage changes in market cap for Nvidia since its inception. Look, Jensen can't even believe his eyes here. And it's worth noting, this company had quite the wild market cap fluctuations. There were a couple years when we lost almost 100% market cap in the early 2000s. So definitely check out this graphic on X at TTV Research. It's a sister graphic to our earlier graphic about the company's market cap every single year since its IPO. But we're going to have to wait till Wednesday after the close to find out if the market is long on Huang. Back to you.
I just want to know, Adara, why does Jensen have that look on his face?
I don't know, but I found it and I loved it. So that's
She found it, she loved it, and then it made its way onto the infographic. No questions asked. Shout out to Adara.
That was him looking. That's him looking at his bank account.
Can we see him again?
Yeah, that's him. See, look, that's what when you look at your
bank account.
Yeah, when you look at your portfolio and
you
it's
know he
up
owns
of
like 3 or 4% of Nvidia. Can you believe that he's one of the founders? He only owns that little. It's something. It's small. I'm not exactly sure, so I'll double check that for you. But it's like single digits. I expected more, bro.
Yeah.
Like Zuck, he owns a plethora of Meta. Like these founders usually own like at least
more.
double digits. You know what I mean?
They said that Nvidia made how many millionaires in the past couple?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, like
ridiculous.
a ridiculous amount.
Dude, I remember going to my old man's cardiologist back during COVID. This was November 21, and it was running up because of crypto and like the pandemic plays, right? And he was like feeling himself. He's yeah,
I mean,
Nvidia, I printed on it. And this was like when it was $300 pre-split, right?
So he's probably sitting on some pretty.
Yeah,
pennies.
no, I think he sold it.
Oh,
so that's what made me feel good. You little punk.
That's crazy.
You're feeling yourself?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I bet you're feeling bad now. No, I'm playing. I don't know why I'm getting all like that. Eddie, that is his face when the car rental employee asks for a safety deposit. My favorite car rental like little skit is the Seinfeld one when he goes to rent a car and he's ordered a midsize or he's reserved a midsize, but then they tell him that they ran out of midsize, but he's like, how come you guys ran out of it? I thought I reserved it. She's like, yeah, we got your reservation. We just ran out of cars. He's like, but I thought the reservation keeps the car here, right? Isn't that the point of the reservation? Like, anybody can take the reservation. It's really easy to take them, but it's really the hard part is to hold the reservation, which I find to be hilarious because it's absolutely, it rings true to me. All right, guys, I'm keeping my eye on RETO over here as it's working its way right back into that 99 penny area. I'd like to be involved with this one if it can get above and stay above 100. This is the one that I'm keeping my eye on, RETO, but it's not the trade that I want currently. It's going to have to get above that buck. I don't want to be fighting with the shorts trying to keep this down below a buck. So that's the look there. Jag. Jensen probably thought he hit the jackpot when he went public. What do you mean? Oh, because why he sold so much. I see. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, maybe some other stuff came up in his life. You never really know. But yeah, I don't know how much he has, Joseph. You got your co-pilot up there?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Can we find out how much Jensen owns? Because I'm pretty sure it's single digits. I just don't want to give people the wrong information. KT options. Home Depot is moving higher. So this was. It is Adara confirmed. So let's have a look at HD. This one reported this morning. A bit of a mixed report there. What does he own?
He owns about 3.8%.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
But he has he has 93 million shares.
Of course, it's amazing. It's amazing.
That's insane.
I'm not going to disrespect that. I just figured he owned a little more.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll take it if he wants to give me some.
I'm not going to say that. Yeah, thank you. Home Depot, guys, a bit of a mixed report. They beat on the top and bottom line, but it was a guide that was a little light there. So it did initially go red, but it was a zig and zag like it sometimes is in the pre. But then as the bell rang, that was as bad as it was going to get on the day. That dropped below 380.
Oh my
now we're knocking on the door of $400, $399.91 high a day. Home Depot looking good. Don't know what the percentage up on the day is. Allow me a moment here because it's not populating. 4.5%, a little bit less than that 4.5. Fantastic look today for Home Depot. I mean, we saw this one get shellacked subsequent to the pandemic as a result of everybody kind of upgrading their homes when they were at home, couldn't go anywhere. And then obviously that had a bit of a cooling effect on the upgrades and home improvements and stuff later. But I think that they are starting to pick up again, so not a bad look for them. That's a look there. All right, guys, SMST. We're working right back into that high. We're at the $0.25 right now. I'm long 01s. I'm waiting at 31s. This is my last my last beak wetter, sadly, as I did not get that ad at 95s, but I did get the ad at 8, so I'm packing my patience there. Jag, GPU was not that big until 2015-ish when Google realized they can use GPUs for compute. Well said, my man. I didn't know that it was involved with AI until about 2018. That's when I heard that parallel processing was what was going to make AI. So I didn't know about that either. Mine was obviously a lot later. 2018 is not 2015. Los Palomos Hermanos. Nvidia peaked and started falling after the boob sign from Jensen. Yes, I do remember that. Thank you for mentioning that. Random oddities, RETO. Been talking about it, brother. There it is. It broke $1. RETO now is at $1.04. Something tells me, though, that this one may not be as easy to move above that buck as we can perceive. So let's watch. Like, it's going to have to clear a buck here. for me to get involved. It's up 76%. Now it's above $1. So those who filter out the stock south of $1 now will have notice of it. And also, it's obviously 70-something%, making it one of the best performing names in the market. And guys, by the way, RETO, sure, it's up 73%, but it's up 121% since the bell rung. That means it opened the pre-market in negative territory. So it's gone red to green. I can just make that deduction based upon the percentage up on the day. So let's keep an eye out here on RETO. I'm absolutely interested in trading it. Just got to set up the right way. Let's see what else people are saying over here. Jay Lee. Not sure if you saw my note, but gold price dumping finally makes sense. Market has no trust in the market. Market has no trust in the market. Delivery not possible. Gold stackers going elsewhere. Thus, money tanks. Thank you, Jay. I talked to the NOS boss last night on the market recap show about gold, and we were kind of juxtaposing Bitcoin, the sell-off in Bitcoin, and then the making of all-time highs in gold. My question to him was, are we getting a rotation from one asset class into another? And he kind of he didn't really give me a straight answer there, but he said he likes gold. RC, he probably had more Nvidia shares, but when it split, he sold some, ? So that prescient went down with more shares out there. I'm not sure what that means, brother.
He means that percent.
That percent. Oh, yeah, so that percent went down with more shares out there. Sure, okay. That's not what would happen, the Katina man goes on to say. All right. Yeah, of course. Jay Lee, I have been using GPU compute on folding at home from Stanford since about 2014. Just saying, I don't even know what you do, Jay, but you seem to be doing stuff that obviously gets you involved in these markets.
I went to Stanford.
I think he's using Stanford's GPUs. He's using remotely. That's my understanding. That's a lot of what people are doing. Let me know, Jay. Abhishek Desai, HIMS. Okay, I used to know somebody by that name, and we don't have a good relationship. HIMS above VWAP. All right, let's have a look at HIMS. Let's take off a couple of these tickers on the side chart here. All right, good look there. HIMS is an earnings loser, guys, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one trades. So they have a bit of I want to call this a headwind because they don't just do GLP-1s. They do a lot of sexual health, hair loss stuff. They're involved in other stuff other than just weight loss. I'm talking about HIMS. But they do have a major headwind right now, which is that because we're not back ordered anymore for some of these GLP-1s like semaglutide, whatever, the others, they can't compound it anymore. Compounding is essentially when a pharmacy takes the raw material, the ingredients, gets a pharmacist, essentially a chemist, to put it together at the pharmacy level, and then they dispense it to the patient, okay? It's a great margin game, just ask me, because that's what my family's involved in, but you're only allowed to do that when there's a patent still existing on a drug when it's back ordered. It's no longer back ordered. It's no longer hard to get, so they will not be allowed to compound these anymore, at least for the time being, so that's a bit of a headwind. Again, though, I want to caveat that by saying that they sell other things other than GLP-1s. But it's a fantastic look here. A nice kind of maybe a bit of an inverse head and shoulders with the left head, right shoulder. And then what preceded it was a downtrend. So we got all the check boxes there where downtrend, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, breakout above the neckline, which I will submit to you is about 38.25, 38.5. Looks like we just got into about 39. We haven't cleared VWAP with any aggression, so we'll continue to watch this one. Probably not a name that I get involved in, but a good look nonetheless, Joseph.
Yeah, I have some, so a bunch of my friends take HIMS, and it's working out for them, but I tried a little Rogaine, and that didn't work out too good for your boy, so that's okay.
Bro, you gotta be on that for like 6 months.
6 months, yeah, no, I know, I was on it for a while. I told you what happened though, remember? Yeah. So it just didn't work out for me, so yeah.
Switch to finasteride.
Yeah, I'm going to, I'm gonna have to do something up there, or maybe we might have to take a little trip to Turkey there and see what's going on. But yeah, guys, let's see what else
People say it's sick, dude.
It's sick?
Oh, yeah,
like
people
Turkey?
love it.
Yeah, well, everybody, I'd be on the same plane. We would all be wearing headbands together and on the way back.
The videos of the airplane ride
Yeah,
back
that's
from Turkey?
what I'm saying,
It's all
right?
those
It's
jobs
all
and
in
like
head
air,
yards, right?
And
So
everybody on the plane is looking the same.
Like you fit right in, so that'd be a good time. Here we go. Here we go, guys. On Walmart, continuing to climb higher. I'm loving this name. I love Walmart. I don't know how much higher we can go. Again, 4% is a pretty hefty gain on this name. You don't see that every day. But with the overall market pretty weak, then we'll take it as it is. But let's see what we got going on in the NASDAQ here, guys. We're going to pull up the TQQs and see what the market is up to. So we're only down about a 1.5% or so, a 1.25%. So now recovering off of VWAP, pushing through. So things might have turned around for the time being. I'm not saying we've completely turned face here, but a nice recovery in the overall market, especially after the past two sessions. I wasn't here on the Friday, guys, and I heard it was a lot of blood in the streets. And yesterday was relatively weak as well, too, with the inability to recover. I heard Sean say the market closing at the lows isn't the best thing here. And sure enough, as we open today, we sell off some more, but now slightly recovering. So that's a positive sign. We'll take it for what it is. And Nvidia leading the way, I believe, on to the top side. Let's see what we got from a percentage metric. So yeah, we're only down about 6/10 there, guys, on Nvidia. I really like this name. Still sitting in this swing. I think tomorrow is going to be absolutely monstrous. We talked about the expected move as well, too, guys. So we're looking at about a 9.3 implied move on this name. But the previous 2 quarters, it did not exceed that. So just be wary. But I will note this, we got to give credit where it's due. It went 16% 3 quarters ago, a 16% move. I forget what that it was pricing in, but that is hefty move. So 16%, 9.3 this quarter coming up tomorrow. I'm hoping that we can punch through all-time highs. It's going to be extremely positive for the market if we can punch through 140. I told you about that call while at that strike. There's a hefty amount of potential shares there. There's a lot of open contracts. So that's going to be a key price target I'm going to be looking for in this name. It's going to be guidance that we're going to be looking at because the chances of them beating on the top and the bottom line are pretty high. It's just that forward guidance. And when you were in a growth cycle like Nvidia was, it's really hard to sustain that. But the demand for these chips are really, really, they're still high. And I wanted to ask you this, Sharif. So we know how a lot of these AI plays are open source, right? And we have AI spend, but then we have OpenAI who wants to go closed source and have the ability to profit. But what's up with all this AI spend, and how are these companies going to benefit or be profitable if everything is open sourced?
Oh, that's a great question because you build on top of it. So the open source is the bottom layer, and then you add your own layer on top of it through training. So pre-training is one thing, and then actual training is another. Sorry, I'm just involved in
do what you we'll talk about that later when we go over some more things. But I wanted to pull up some names that were really in play about a month or so ago, or a couple weeks ago, and that's RGTI, Rigetti Computing. The quantum computing space was just absolutely on fire, and it's really, really cooled down here, guys. RGTI, it's now heading around that $9.24 price target. So that's close to 50% or even a little bit more from those all-time highs on this name. So yeah, 57% on RGTI, or it's not all-time highs, but those previous highs earlier in the year. So that's a tough look. Am I going to be grabbing these stocks all the way down here? I don't think so just yet. And same with Rich Tech Robotics. That's kind of the humanoid stuff that was popular as well. RR was in play. And you can start to see the ATR expansion in these names and that volume really start to pick up. And then we can put in a high here around $5. And then we've lost more than 50% on these names, about 66% on Rich Tech Robotics. Am I going to be buying them down here? I don't think so just yet. We'll wait for them to turn around. And these companies also need to start turning a profit. So I'm really curious to see what's going on with the quantum computing space and the humanoid space. So let's see what the IWM is up to as well, just small caps, because if the overall market is getting smoked, I'm thinking like, hey, we're going to get smoked here too. So as you can see, we had some previous support systems marked out before. We've breached it, but had the inability to hold in below them. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes on these value names here to see if, are they going to catch a bid or something along those lines? But again, not something I'm overly looking to invest in is IWM, because it is extremely volatile. And with these names, they got to borrow a lot of money too. So I'll just avoid IWM for now. But if you guys have anything in the chat that you want to look at, we'll go over it. KT Options, $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Thoughts on FSLR before earnings? Sure. Let's take a look at FSLR. Oh, FSLR. And see what they are. First Solar. Okay, yeah, okay. So they report when. I'll pull up the earnings calendar right now and see when FSLR reports. That is tomorrow. Oh, this evening. Yes, this evening they report. Yeah, so, okay, I like this. We're going to pull up the expected move on it, and then we can do a little TA on this as well. Expected move. Here we go.
Show yourself.
Yeah, show yourself. FSLR, and see if we can get it. FSLR. It doesn't really want to pull it up for me, but that is okay. So we'll take a look at the options chain. Oh, here we are. Earnings, applied volatility. So expected move, about a 7, so plus or minus 7.7% on this name. Where is that going to put us on FSLR? 7.7. So that can put us around that $11.50, $11.60 target there. And to the downside, where you can see a low of possibly $11.59, okay? So just keep that in mind there, guys. Oh, that's not, 159, sorry. Yeah, so about that much. It's only about a couple dollar move there on FSLR. And we're going to take a look at it on the options chain to see what is really cooking up. And we want to see where those levels of open interest are, just so we can look at price targets. So if you're looking to trade this, straddle, whatever you're looking to trade via options, you want to look out for these names. So the highest level of open interest here, expiring this Friday, is that 170 strike price with 3.7 open contracts thus far. So nothing crazy. And to the put side, you have to scroll really down. So nothing in the K. There's nothing with triple or 4 digits here, except for that at the money, which is roughly around 1.25K. So FSLR, First Solar, not something I particularly trade, and you don't want to be involved in this to the long side, because off of that high, you're down about 51%, Sharif.
All right, I added to SMST at VWAP. This was...
Yeah, it's me. It's gonna be me.
I know she's up to it. That she's such a bully, bro. She's
that is, yeah, you know, it's okay.
Look at her. She's leaving. Like,
why does
everybody
have the same headband on though?
It's the compression headband, I think.
Is it? All right, then, boy, maybe I could get a designer one or something.
You're killing me, bro.
Yeah, I could get one.
All right.
Yeah.
Ramram's a mean person.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all
up,
love, man. It's all love.
Tries to like act all nice, but we all know.
Yeah, we all know. We all know it is.
It is what it is. I'm not sassing her, Adara. I'm speaking truth. Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
All right. RETO. Oh, boy. Get it, Adara.
Boy.
RETO. Shout out to Jay. I was talking to Justin there in the chat. I did get into RETO, Jay. I'll explain why. This is what we call an area of resistance. Look at that double top at 96 pennies. It meant there was selling up there. So that's a resistance area. Sometimes, Jay, when you clear that resistance area and then you come back in and test it, it acts as support, meaning it bounces off that price. So I got in at 96. It's showing me 104s. I'm waiting out. Bang! 105. We take out the top. All right, so RETO is on one right now. Keep your eye out on this one. If it holds above the buck, it can be a better trade. I don't like these ones a whole lot south of the dollar, so keep your eye out on this one. It could be moving to the high side. Also got involved in this monster as well. As I mentioned, SMST, but it's going to have to hold VWAP. I've moved up my stop into 780s right there, so it's going to have to hold that 790s. We'll risk a little bit there. This one as well, show yourself. There we go. ONVO had a tight stop on this one. I initially got in at 41, scalped into 51, and then this one showing me lower highs. So I am concerned that ONVO is going to do the same thing that we saw on MLGO, which is that flat bottom break. We have been defending generally that $140 on a closing basis. It's kind of given up the ghost a little bit at that level. So I didn't want to stay in for all that long. I scalped into this one, got in. I hadn't been involved in this one for a minute. We just took a quick 10 pennies, quick as you like, and that is the look there. Now let's go back into this one because this is one I want to focus on right now. SMST. Where am I waiting over here, bro? I'm waiting at 5s. That's why I'm not getting printed. Showing me 2s. It's not clearing 8 with any aggression, but I do like the fact that it did hold VWAP, but how many times is it going to hold VWAP? How many times am I going to get the same trade? That concerns me, obviously. The more times we touch VWAP, the more times or the more opportunities it has to fail. And I'll submit to you, likely will fail if it keeps making lower highs and going into that VWAP area. So that's a look there. There we go. We get the print on SMST. Now it's showing me 6s. So let's go ahead and set up at 12s. We're going to look for that a bit of a higher print than 10s there. We're long 95s now, literally bottom wick on this, you know what. So we'll continue to watch this one. Showing me 7s. Let's go, baby. We'll keep an eye out on this one. But RETO is all the hype right now. This one is on one, $1.14 HOD. It's now 87% in the clear, and it looks like it wants to make aggressively newer highs. I will, though, wait at that dollar, because if we come to testing that dollar again, I want to participate in this one now. If it gets crazy and starts moving to the high side, I'll punch in, but smaller size, obviously, because I don't like punching in at highs. So that's the look right now, Joseph. RETO, SMST. Let's see what we do here. Guys, the new poll is out, and I want to mention that I put Li Auto on there, not because I was involved in Li Auto for a long time, but it's up 14%.
Bang.
Okay? It's a big boy move today on Li Auto. You got some sympathy plays with XPeng up 5 3/4. Neo's hot garbage, so it's down to 1 1.33%. It's not participating in the move with XPeng. Li Auto. It's a big day for these ADRs today, Joseph. What do you got on that side?
Yeah, I'm just looking at, because what we've been selling off so heavy is, I'm going to be looking after we're at extreme lows. I want to see what that max pain is, and then I want to see how those candles print. So we can see that the overall market is going to recover. Is recovering, I should say, from the lows. But I just want to look at these hammers. So we broke through this previous shelf, and then now that buying pressure stepped in, and now we're putting this in somewhat of a hammer doji again. The one thing I will point out is that it's not isolated, and I want to keep an eye out for something that is isolated. But one thing that I am looking at, and it is identical to Walmart here, is IBIT, guys. I'm not saying that the selling is done. I think how this candle print closes is going to be really key to see what happens. And if we do decide to close as a hammer, as an indecision candle, then maybe there's a potential swing to the top side. You can see that IBIT gap down because it doesn't trade 24/7 like Bitcoin. But if we close this candle as a hammer, I might try, because the risk profile is there. All we got to do is risk until 48.61, and if it goes south of that, then the thesis is wrong, and that's okay. But I would like to get into a bounce. I tried something as well over here. I was telling Sharif, I was like, I woke up one morning and I seen it open above this range, and I'm like, let me get involved. It then sold off some more, hit my stop. I got out of the trade, so now I'm sitting on some cash in the swing. We got Walmart and Nvidia kicking on, and I want to see something else that I can pick up here, because I want to push something really, really heavy here, guys. And I'm comfortable with pushing IBIT heavy just because of my past with it, okay? And I'm saying if something's worked before, doesn't necessarily it's going to mean it's going to work again, but you got to try. And that's something that I'm going to definitely look into. And some of the comments about the hair in the chat are absolutely hilarious. Oh, dude, they're like, so they said Sharif's hair isn't going anywhere, so it's not moving, and just some other things.
A bunch of hairspray.
Do you put it? Yeah,
Arab hair, bro.
yeah, I know. I
anybody
need
who
some of
knows
that.
Arab
I need some of that, man.
It's
good. It's good stuff there. It's tough for sure. It's definitely tough. My dad is bald, so yeah, we're a little bit of a tough look.
Arab hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the Arab money, but the Arab hair.
Yeah, but yeah. Oh, relax there. It says the V8 over there. It says the V8 over there. Guys, let's take a look at AMC. We know that this name was extremely memey. Who's laughing?
Adira. Look at the chat, Adira. See how she's bullying me?
Yeah, why? What'd she say?
See that, Adira?
What'd she say?
Yeah. You need to look at the chat to see what she's saying. Yeah.
Loser. Is that like a statistic though? Is eating a lot of eggs?
I don't know, bro.
Is it no, Adara? No, is it though? We gotta know this, Adara. Is that like is there a correlation between eating a lot of eggs and then good hair?
Well, isn't hair protein?
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. You
It
would
is,
know.
right?
Is it?
So if you eat a lot of
well.
protein, I don't know, bro.
So
I don't know, man. I'm not getting involved in this conversation.
Am I too far?
Yes.
Is it too far gone for me to? Should I kick up my egg game and start bringing in a half dozen too, or what?
Jokes, bro.
Anyways, let's see what we got going on in AMC, guys. I'm gonna pull up the options chain as well too, because we know how this name was memeing, and I just think it's a dead stock. It's going to be so tough for this to come back into play. So I just want to see the options chain, and I highly doubt that it's overly active. Like this stock's trading at $3.18. But again, $3.50, $24K open contracts, that $4, 24.5 open contracts into the downside. Not too much because you can't go any lower. But that $3 strike price has about 9,000, and then 3.5 again, so around that 19.6. So we can classify that there might be some pinning on this name as well too at that 350 strike price, and we're trading at 318. I think that's going to be interesting because there's still a lot of, it still has that meme craze. It comes in play once every blue moon, like GameStop here. But for those two names, I don't believe they're investable. Show them what you got going on.
Man, we're killing it on RETO, bro. We're long 97. We just took out 20s. All right, so this one is going here. We waited for that dollar. I'm pleased as dang punch with my entry. I stuck to my rules. This is a previous area of resistance. Once it cleared, it acted as support. I almost have bottom wick. I think I could have done a little bit better, but here we go to the high side. Now I'm gonna wait at 25s because that's kind of what I do. 25, 25, 25, 25. All right, we'll wait up here for that move. I just took out some there at 20, showing me 23s now. Show yourself 25. So we're going to get it quite yet, but RETO now, it is a big boy mover on the market. It has a lot of people's attention. It is up over 100%. It's cleared the dollar. It's got all the right ingredients. The only thing that I can complain about this is it doesn't have a good short float. The short float is basically negligible. Here's what we're talking about over here. Shout out to Trade Ideas. RETO's float on Trade Ideas is 2.75 million. On my platform, it's saying 3.1.5. Whatever, split the difference there, but this is the metric I'm looking at. Short float, 0.48% of said 2.75 million shares. So if we get a parabolic move, it's going to be because of the float, not the short float. Now, you're probably wondering, what do you mean, Sharif? Why would a stock move aggressively if it has a smaller float? Well, because that means that the supply out there for trading is limited. So if there are, like, for example, let's talk about this. So I'm positing that this one has 3.1 million shares outstanding to be traded by all of the market right now on the NASDAQ. How many shares has it done on the day? 42.25 million shares. That means it's gone through float rotation. I don't know, what's 40 divided by 3 is what, bro?
Oh,
10,
bro,
or
it's
like
12,
12 and a half, right?
12 and a half, yeah.
Yeah, give or take. So it's done float rotation 12.5 times over, meaning the amount of shares in all of the market, obviously not specifically each share, but the total quantum of shares has changed hands 12.5 times. It's rotated 12.5 times. So when you have a smaller float, the supply is limited, so you get more parabolic moves, both to the high side and the downside. It works both ways. So when you're looking for stocks that can definitely move, you want to see a short or a smaller float as well as a higher short float. If you have both, even better. But I want to caveat that whole statement by saying that that is both a blessing and a curse. Because in the same way, it can move to the high side and it can move to the downside, and I will submit to you even more aggressive way. So having, being involved in a name that's with a small float or a high short float or both as well can be very detrimental as well if you don't trade it the right way. So that's kind of what I'm talking about there. I hope I didn't butcher that. But yeah, RETO is what I'm looking at there. Showtime, retro, the short percentage can change quick like now. Absolutely. It's 2 weeks old, mind you, okay? So when I give you data on the short float, it's likely up to 2 weeks old because it only gets updated every 2 weeks. Now, there are websites that try to make inferences based on price action about what the short float is. You have to pay for those websites, though. Those are not free. You're gonna likely have to fork over some good money there. I don't have the exact websites. available with me. I did throw them into a lesson one time when we did the lesson on short floats. So that's a look right now. Thank you for chiming in about that showtime because that's absolutely accurate. It can change as people get involved right now. There could be a person with a monster short right now, Andre, at $1.22. I'm just throwing any numbers out there, but that is realistically possible. Thank you for the nice comment there. Let's see what we got. I don't know what this guy's talking about estrogen and testosterone for, bro. Come on, man.
What's he talking about?
I don't know, man. I don't know. He's giving us a science lesson in the chat or something. I don't know what the hell's going on. All right, Brendan, supply is never limited. Market makers, this is a really good comment. So Brendan, absolutely right. Supply is never limited. Market makers rule 203B exemption of providing liquidity allows them creation of more shares at will, all in the name of providing liquidity. No, I don't know if that's accurate, brother. You can't just create shares at will. There has to be an offering, and then there has to be a shelf offering that you have to have made that clear, and only the company can add more shares. I don't know if that's accurate. But you're saying market maker rule 203 exemption of providing liquidity. I'm going to have to look into that. But that was not my understanding of it. Joseph, take over. While
yeah, absolutely, guys. I'm sure some TQs here. Why? Because I'm going to stick with this downtrend. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But one thing I want to point out is look at this. Look where we bounced right off of and put an indecision candle above the volume weighted average price. I love looking out for these types of signals because now my risk is also defined too. So I'm always looking for that risk to reward ratio to keep it high. So holding this pre-market low and then rejecting it here on a hammer candle and looking to slowly curl over. I mentioned to you guys yesterday that turtle shell type price action, and here we are. Where's that tool that everybody taught me how to use again? Okay, I'm not going to look for it right now, but, oh, geez, here we go. Okay, so, oh, my days. Okay, yeah, there we go. You see what I was looking at there? But anyway, okay.
I got something when you're done.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to look at here. This is my out. We couldn't break through this pre-market low. We put in that indecision candle right here, and then now potentially reject. What we had is that turtle shell type price action, and then we took that leg lower. That momentum really picked up in the latter half of the session near the close. So I'm looking for maybe the same style of play. If it happens once, it can happen twice. So again, defined risk here at 516.48. If it breaches that, then there could be potentially more topside. But if not, I'm looking for the break of view up there, my friend. What do you got going on?
So here's the rule. Only the company itself can issue new shares through offerings or other corporate actions. However, and this is what I think you're talking about, Brendan. However, the bona fide market making exemption under Rule 203B allows market makers to sell short shares without locating them first, but only when they are engaged in genuine market making activities, providing liquidity to buyers and sellers. What this means in practice. So market makers can sell short even if they haven't located or borrowed the shares in advance, but only to facilitate a fair and orderly market. This exemption does not allow market makers to create shares out of thin air. They must still eventually cover their short positions. Abuse of this exemption, example, selling excessive naked shorts without making a market, can lead to regulatory scrutiny. That's a fantastic, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't even know that this rule was a thing. So even though they can't create shares out of thin air, it does look like they can borrow or they can get short without actually having located the shares from someone who's fully paid for them. I didn't even know this rule existed. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That is great insight by you there, brother, and I do appreciate that. Because I didn't know about it. Did you know about that?
No, I did not.
No, neither did I.
I did not. Yeah, I was going to say.
That's what happened on GME. So Ovis
yeah.
chiming in. He's like, that's exactly what happened there with GameStonk. So interesting look there.
Yeah. There's more shares. So it's like when the short float is at 125%, and there's essentially more short shares issued.
It's like, how is that possible? Right? I remember that. Everyone was complaining about that, remember? Everyone was like, oh, how is it possible that there was more the float was like 150% short, right? It was over 100%.
It was
so people were like,
it was like
well,
1
how's that
1/4.
whole thing working? So it's a naked shorts, essentially.
So that's when you get those crazy squeezes, and we'll send it into Adair in a second. I want to touch on this a little bit, but that's why like so after that GME craze, you got to understand the overall sentiment of that underlying asset, right? An extreme short float, 125%, over 100%, or what it may be, and that's why I refer to you people as like everyone is that not only do like, hey, I wish that would go back to those prices for those people who are crazy about it, but you got to understand the fundamentals and that the short float wasn't the exact same, and there's no way that Wall Street would allow that to happen again because they lost billions and billions of dollars. Let's see what Adair is up to.
I just want to let everyone know this power hour could be interesting. Just be aware, I am seeing on the calendar, and I wasn't seeing this morning, I mentioned it around 10 a.m., Donald Trump will be signing executive orders at 3 p.m. I am unaware as to the content of these executive orders, and again, when I made the economic calendar this morning for the watch list around 6:45, 7 a.m., the man who was dancing in front of me was not mentioned on it. So this came up somewhere between 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. Regardless, be aware, 3 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have Donald Trump signing some more executive orders. So be careful, stay tuned. If I see anything of note there, I will, of course, let you know. Back to the guys.
I love when he's signing these EOs, Joseph, and he has all his people, or I was going to call him henchmen, but I don't want to get hate in the chat, but all his cabinet ministers behind him and his associates and his helpers, and then he's got his little EO, and he's showing everybody, look at my signature. It's the best signature ever. I don't dislike Donald Trump, so I'm just I'm obviously doing it for, you know what, and giggles. Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. He just always sets up in like the most like Donald Trump way in the Oval Office.
Dude,
I was little black binder and that big ass signature of his.
I was dying when they're like, yeah, but Canada supplies lumber to you guys, like a lot of them exporting from Canada and the lumber. He's like, we'll just grow bigger and better trees. It's like, yeah. All right, man. Whatever.
Oh, Donald, bro. Oh, man, we're gonna have an interesting 4 years, bro. That's all I got. They said
it from the beginning. They said from the beginning, be prepared. Unfortunately, we weren't as prepared for this. A little bit of a correction in the market, but again, it's nothing to get too worried about, Sharif. We're only down about 4%. Yes, a little bit less now that we've recovered here in the overall market. So I am short some TQs. Once we start hitting those double digits, like 10, 15%, then there's something that we can be like, ooh, okay, what's going on here? But no, I'm just referring to the overall market if we get into correction territory. But here we are, guys, working on this short. I pointed out that signal above VWAP. And it seems to be working out. We're going to start trimming as we run into the volume-weighted average price as well here too, guys. So really, really nice trade. The entry was slightly late, right? Let's just be frank here. I wasn't exactly as accurate as I should have been. You want to play this at the break or the inability to break this high. So you can play it if it doesn't construct a new high past that doji, you can look to get involved. And then you can also look to get involved at the break of the low of that candle. But here we are. I got in slightly lower and it is working out. Nice consolidation phase with an additional add onto that position. Now trading into the volume weighted average price. I think this primary downtrend is still intact, and that's exactly why I'm not trying to fight any longs. And just look at the tape flush there, guys. I know I'm using the derivative, so I'm not too sure how much that equals to. So I'll pull up the actual Qs to see if we can compare, and I'll just look at both of them on a couple of my screens here. So yeah, you can see the weakness in the time of sales and a lot of flushes red. See, another flush red. So guys, pay attention as that momentum and that volume is really starting to pick up to the downside. Pay attention to the tape. I mentioned that we did a tape lesson multiple times, or only once before, sorry. And I said there's key moments. You don't always want to be looking at it because it's extremely misleading, or not the tape, but it's a lot of noise, I should say, and that's what I'm looking for. There's a lot of noise in the tape, and you want to look for it at key specific areas. You don't constantly want to be looking because you can see the mixed between hitting the ask and the bid as well too, guys. So just keep that in mind. Look for it at key areas and in your key areas as well too. So thank you for that. Yeah, let's see what RAP calls. Yeah, so it's tough. I think the overall sentiment is you're not going to see buyers really get engaged just yet. Because of what we've seen over the past couple of sessions, it's tired. You need these sellers to get exhausted, and then you need to see new participants step in, be like, hey, we like the value of these stocks down here, and now we're going to start to put in those buy programs, and you'll slowly start to see the sentiment shift in the overall market. So, yeah, we'll hold on to this short. Hopefully, we can break this 514 level on the Qs, and then potentially head a little bit lower. So that would put us around 77.7 on the TQQs here, and looking for a little bit more downside there, Sharif.
All right, man. Keeping my eye on RETO. It's the only trade I've got left. Shout out to Justin. I was in the bathroom. He's like, yo, watch your RETO trade, bro. It's coming back down. So let me show you what I'm looking at, Jay. RETO is still holding above this level I call the 10 exponential moving average. That's going to be the green line on my chart. So, Jay, you're going to see a whole bunch of lines on my chart over here. And I'm just going to take the opportunity right now to say what they are. When you see a green solid line, that's the 10 EMA. So the exponential moving average essentially more heavily weights the more recent price action as opposed to giving each period equal weight. So if I had the simple moving average, it would take day 1, day 10, add them all up, divide by 10, and then it would plot it on the chart there, okay? So each period in the 10 exponential under a simple moving average formula has the same weight. The exponential, what it does is it tilts the weight to the more recent price action. Now that can be good, it can be bad. I'll submit to you it's good for day trading where you want to rely more, and intraday trading where you want to rely more on the more recent price action as opposed to giving each period equal weight. So those are the moving averages I've chosen. Now, there's different types of moving average. There's the 10-period moving average. There's also the 20. There's anything you want it to be, but the ones that I use are the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 200, all of which are exponential. So the 200 is going to be that solid blue line. The 50 is going to be red. The yellow is going to be the 20, and the green is going to be the 10. White will always be VWAP. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because I perceive the 10 exponential to be one of the most important moving averages for these small cap gappers. When something pulls into the 10 exponential and it's been strong on the day, sometimes I'll pick it up as a long, even though it's pulling back. It pulled back into what I perceive to be an area of technical support, that being the 10 exponential moving average. And that's exactly what it's doing right now, Jay. So you've got a bit of a dual support threat here. You got the $1 level. Sometimes these whole dollar levels act as areas of support and resistance. In addition to that, it's where the 10 exponential is hanging out right now. So this by no means that it's not going to break that dollar. It can absolutely break the dollar. All we're doing right now is trying to put the odds on our side. And that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm keeping my eye on the dollar. I'm long 97 pennies, so I've got a bit of a buffer between the dollar and my entry. I've got my beak wetter in the lofty area of 125. The high of the day is $1.23. So it's going to have to really move up. It's going to have to really move up for me to get filled, but I'm okay with that. I've only got one beak wetter left, and I don't mind packing my patience. And there's only about 25 minutes left on the show. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. ADL. Adam.
What's up, ADL?
It's been a tough week or so as an Arsenal fan. I don't know if you know what happened on the weekend. I know you don't care about soccer.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, you care about what? Yeah, you can tell me. I'll listen.
I got a vent. We had an opportunity to close the gap between us and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool's number one. Yeah. They're the head honchos right now in the Prem.
Okay,
Arsenal's second.
Okay.
And then we played at home to a team, Joseph, that's in the lower half of the table, West Ham, another London team.
Ooh, West
East
Ham.
London, though. Okay?
Norwich.
Oh, no, I think Norwich is different.
No.
But anyway, yeah, 1 second, Ram, calm down. Right? So we could have closed the gap. We didn't. We lost to them 1-0 ski on our own ground, even though, we got a lot of injuries right now. No strikers. We've had to makeshift strikers. We've had to take midfielders, make them into attackers. So it's not a good look there.
Not a good look.
Which one are we doing, Ram? E-Sig. Okay, let's do it. Are we doing it right now? Are we doing it live?
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. 2. This woman's counting down to my ear. New traders, listen up. The first month, it's free. That's right. We're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to elite. Analyze, strategize. Then hopefully after all that, you'll capitalize. The platform, it's got everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game-changing charts, and you can predict with backtesting. It's got reliable real-time data, global markets literally at your fingertips, and all-in-one platform. So don't miss out, guys. Execute your best trades now. If you're ready to elevate your trading, you will. Scan that QR code or check the link in the description. Shout out to the great folks there at eSignal. And obviously very happy to have eSignal software over here, guys. It is quite robust, and we've been using it all the time, needless to say, showing these charts every day. These are the Megs. Well, let's call them Meg 9 because we've got 9 charts on here, but I use them for my small cap gappers as well. So you get everything here. You guys get scanners, you get everything. SPF, say sorry to Ram. That's wishful thinking.
Where's the fail button there?
Yeah, right there, bro.
I hit it.
Well, of course, because yeah.
No.
I'm not going to say anything, Ram. All right, guys. C-Wave, I don't mean any disrespect to Donald Trump. You realize that, right? It's just we're having fun on this side. We've got 3 hours to kill. So, yeah, we're just having a good time. But I don't actually mean any disrespect. Amazonian Lynn Nation soccer. It's football for Canadians too. Yeah, look, dude. I think the Aussies call it soccer as well. So it's not just a North American thing. I'm pretty sure they call it soccer because they call their team the Socceroos. So they definitely call it soccer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't think it's just a North American thing, but I get your point. Yeah, that's it. What are you looking at, Joseph?
Yeah, I'm sitting in some TQs, man. We're short here. It's starting to pull back a little bit off the volume weighted average price. Maybe should have trimmed slightly more here because we're coming back to the break even, and I don't want to turn a winning trade into a losing one. So if we can hold, if we break this 78.30, then I'm gonna have to get out of Dodge here on this name. So 78.27 is the out. So we're pushing it pretty tight. So here we go. Yeah, there we go. Now we're gonna hop out of this position. A nice little short. We can always get back in if we can't construct a new high. So and we put in a lower here on lower high on the lower time frames as well. So anything not above here, rejection, and it looks like price is going to turn around, then we can start to participate. But then you also have to gauge what some of the big names are doing. To see is like, okay, are we in that turtle shell? Are we ready to turn around? Because if the strong names are continuing to climb higher, you don't want to go against the market or against them, right? Because eventually the market will catch up. So Nvidia still hovering above the volume weighted average price. We like that for this name. And it was just yesterday, it was trading closer to 140, 138. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good for this. But it doesn't seem to be the case. But again, we got into Wednesday. Are people grabbing shares up here for that push up into 140? One thing that I do want to note here from a daily perspective is that if we run into that wall on the options chain, that 140 still puts us into no man's land. And I don't know how much like confidence I have of us exceeding that. Obviously, anything can happen when you punch through that level. Like you can get into serious squeeze territory, but from here to a new all-time high, is roughly about 20%. And that's going to be a tough move. Not saying that it can't happen. 3 quarters ago, it put in that 16% move, but the previous 2 quarters were slightly lackluster and just hovered around there. So it just absolutely destroyed those straddle traders. And I was thinking to myself, hey, do I put a straddle in on this name? I could, and I'm thinking about it. But the reason what is leading me not to do that is the previous expected moves. I can pull up, give me a second, I can pull those up and we'll just take a look at them as well because I had them for this morning and we'll just see what they are. And here it is. So here's the previous moves on the prior earnings moves here, guys. So going back all the way to February of 24 is when we had that really, really big move and it really shot that stock up and we were still exuberant in this name and it just continued to trade higher. But then you can see quarter after quarter, it's slightly dwindled. So 16%, 9%, and then we go negative 6% and then about 0.5% after that. So let's see if this 9.3% move comes into play, and if we exceed that, be wary if you're looking to trade the straddle on it. Just know that you need it to go greater than 9.5%, Sharif.
All right. I told Who's that in the chat that I was responding to there? Top VOIP. I'd look at Amazon. He's like, look, man, Amazon's been really aggressively selling off. As of late, it hasn't been this low in about 3 months, Ram. So let's show him the chart. Here's the deal. I was on it. Yes, I was. Ram. All right. Oh, what the hell is happening here?
What is SMCI doing
here for Amazon? Yeah, SMCI, we're going to get to that one in a second because I want to know when the hell this company is going to report. They're supposed to be reporting today. Let's go to the daily on Amazon quickly. Wow, look at that. Joseph, look at that.
Bro, that's
candle.
why I'm smashing the bang
Look
right
at
now
that
because I pulled
candle,
it. You
Joseph.
mentioned that. You know what your boy's going to do.
I know you're all about that life.
Yeah.
Bro. Okay, so
know
this is
exactly what I'm
interesting
going to do.
Look, we got close to 200 there. Remember we were talking about 200 back in the day as the Bezos shelf because it kept rejecting at 200? Well, we cleared it back, I want to say November 6th. That's when we really decisively got above the Bezos 200 shelf. And it would just be aces if we came back to it and tested it. But today we got awfully close, 204.16. Look, if you're getting long here, I don't know. I don't think this is such a bad look. On the daily, sadly, we've breached the 50, but we did hold above the 200, the 200 moving average. And I love the fact that the 200 moving average is right at that $200 level. You get that double support that we've just talked about when you have the moving average at that key area of technical support, whether it's psychological or actually technical. $200 right there on AMZN. But you know, looking back to see what the interactions were with this level, it did hold up at the 200 when it did test it back in September and October of 23 over here. I don't want people to think that it blew through the 200 over here. This was the unwind of the yen carry trade. This was early August. We call this day Black Monday. This is an anomaly, okay? It doesn't happen all the time. So, and you know, make of that what you will. It did breach the 200 on a closing basis. And in fact, it stayed below the 200 for almost a week. But it reclaimed it and made new highs after that. So I'm not trying to say that this counts as a hold of the 200. I'm just saying it's an anomaly for the most part. So I like it. I like it here. I'll let you spend. If you're going to pick up Amazon and you pick it up at $200, I think it's a great entry, especially being, you know, about 20% off the top there or 15% off the top or so off that 243. And change coming back into that 200 would be about almost 18%. So it would definitely be in correction territory. Look, I like it here. Amazon's a solid company. As I was saying to you in the chat, I think maybe I haven't heard any bad catalysts about Amazon, none. So I'm assuming that the sell-off may have something to do with tariffs and the fear that obviously a lot of the products that they rely upon are coming in from China. And if you're going to add another 10% onto that, well, then that's margin compression. Unless you pass it on to the consumer, in which case, you know, obviously the consumer's not going to be none too plussed about that. So they may start buying less. In that case, sales go down. You get it, right? So tariffs have a bit of a headwind right now on these retailers. In addition to that, they had been taking advantage of the de minimis rule, which essentially is allowing goods under $800 to come in tariff-free. They had set up, I forget the name of the company or the subsidiary that Amazon set up, but they set up a subsidiary to take on the likes of Shein and Temu because they had been using the de minimis rule. And so if that obviously gets kiboshed, which I'm assuming Donald Trump is doing because that's what he said, he's going to get rid of that de minimis rule, that's going to have trouble for sales. So there's a lot of, you know, I'm assuming that this is tariff related here for AMZN. So that's a look right there. Top VOIP, no problem, my man. Always everything good on your end there. Adara is at the big desk. She's got news.
Just be aware here, kind of interesting catalyst. Keep an eye on Tesla because we are hearing, so we're going to have the first ever official cabinet meeting of the new Donald Trump administration. It's going to take place tomorrow, February 26th. Someone that's going to be present is apparently Elon Musk. And this is not a report. This is coming from the White House itself. So Elon Musk set to attend Donald Trump's cabinet meeting. In case you missed it, he is the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as DOGE. And he's been considered a special government employee, now apparently attending cabinet meetings with the president. Back to you.
Our guy.
He was dancing there.
That's our guy. I like the Jerome Powell one there.
You know what we got to get? Remember when he was cutting the cake at his little inauguration
Yeah,
party
yeah,
with
yeah.
the sword.
Oh, yeah.
With the sword.
What?
We got to get that, bro. We got to get Donald dancing with the sword.
Yeah, that's crazy. Even
Get dinged by YouTube for like showing weapons.
showing, oh yeah, no weapons. Yeah, no weapons.
I don't know,
displayed,
man. I'm playing. I'm talking on my rear end.
Yeah, so-
Guys, I'm still involved in RETO. I've been packing my patience with this one because it is still holding above the 10 exponential. If it does breach that $1 area, I may be interested in adding to it if it does come back into about 96 penny area. What's going on with SMCI, Katina, man?
Oh.
Sean is up there dancing in the club. SMCI is it's already short sale restricted, Katina, man. So shout out to you, my man. 46.91. It's down 9.15%. SMCI, a bit of a tougher day for it today, as it has been with a lot of these chips, Ram. And the reason is we woke up today and we heard that Donald Trump was looking at adding yet even more restrictions on chip exports to China. He wants to basically add to the list of Nvidia chips, ones that cannot be exported without license, specifically to China. He's looking at closing some loopholes and basically continuing with the Biden era administration restrictions on these advanced chips. So that has most of these chip names. The only one in my watch list right now that's actually green on the day, Qualcomm up a third and Texas Instruments up a half. And I've got a lot of names on my microchips list or microchip semiconductors list. They're all red except for those two that I just mentioned there. So yeah, SMCI, obviously it's got its own headwind as well in that it has to report its two previous quarters there that it had not reported, that it had not filed reports for, earnings reports. So I'm keeping my eye out on that. Still haven't gotten anything on my blotter there from SMCI about filing those reports. I don't know exactly when the deadline is, if it's by the closing bell or by the end of the actual calendar day by the NASDAQ. We can do a bit of a deeper dive there, and I'll let you know in a second. But there goes RETO, and now I'm feeling awfully stupid for not having added on that test of $1, especially because that dollar was shadowing the 10 exponential moving average, and here it is back up into that $1.15. The best out we've had on the day was that $1.20, but as I heard, we've got breaking news with Adara.
It's about GameStop. GME pushing to the upside. So apparently what happened here, we had CoinDesk reporting, or I guess posting this report from 2 hours ago saying that the CEO of Strive Asset Management has urged Ryan Cohen, who is the chairman and CEO of GameStop, to adopt Bitcoin as a reserve asset using their $5 billion in cash on the balance sheet. Then 2 minutes ago, Ryan Cohen, who again, CEO and chairman of GameStop, he said, the whole post was letter received. So guys, in case you missed it here, Ryan Cohen has said that he's received a proposal from Strive Asset Management urging the company to invest in Bitcoin. Now, his response makes it unclear if they're actually going to follow through in this investment, but he's confirmed that he has received word from Strive Asset Management suggesting that they invest in Bitcoin. And there's been some other speculation with regards to GME and possible investment in Bitcoin. This goes back to a couple weeks ago when Ryan Cohen took a photo with Michael Saylor, CEO of Strategy, formerly known as Microstrategy, and known Bitcoin hodler. So GME on watch here with volume, lots of social media attention for this one as well, as is usual for this ticker. Back to you.
Show today, bro. I'm having a lot of chuckles today on the show. Thank you very much for that, Adara. Keeping an eye on GameStonk. It's trading at about 24.5. It's still negatory on the day. It's got to break 25 to go to green. It's above VWAP though, and it definitely had a lot of trouble with the volume weighted average price down 2.25. Joseph, GME.
Get it.
We're going to get it, Donald.
Get it, guys.
Where is he at? There he is. He's dancing up a storm. That's Trump 1.0, though. We need a Trump 2.0 for that. You can tell that's 1.0. He's looking a little younger there.
We need to get it.
We need to get it, yes. we definitely need to get it.
We need to get it now, man.
It's being said a lot on this. So I saw the OG Darwin in the chat says Ukraine agrees to U.S. minerals deal. There, so I didn't actually see that on my
face slapper, baby.
What's going on
it's
there?
It's another face slapper.
Here we go. Here it is. Okay, Adara's got more news for us. Go ahead, Adara.
I didn't mention this because it wasn't super market moving, but I'm seeing reports. It also hasn't been confirmed. Financial Times reporting that there has been a minerals deal struck between Ukraine and the U.S. Apparently, the toughest demands here have been dropped, so there's going to be a new minerals agreement. Keep an eye, I guess, on that. But again, it's not yet been confirmed. It's just a report as of right now from the Financial Times. Back to you.
Fantastic look there. I mean, yeah.
I don't.
All right, man.
I don't know, man. Listen, SMCI. Yeah, it's continuing to sell off here. I pulled it up on my chart to see what was going on. But what's really intrigued me here, Sharif, is what you were referring to on Amazon. I really like the way this thing looks on a daily. So I obviously, with that being said, I had to pull up my chain. And I might have made somewhat of a mistake here on Walmart. I should have grabbed the calls, Sharif.
Okay.
Because for two of them, it would only cost me $22, right? So I think that's the value is there, and they don't expire for a year. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably adjust. I think it's too late to chase it just now because I really want to be precise with these entries. I think that's extremely key, especially on this style of play. But if Amazon closes above this 211 here, your boy's going to look to get involved on the chains, all right? So 210 strike expiring 325 days from now. And why am I buying something that is maybe only a couple day play for 325 days from now? Well, I don't want to have to worry about theta, okay? I'm willing to lose some intrinsic value on the intrinsic value on the contract if it does start to depreciate. But one thing I don't want to get riddled by, guys, is losing of extrinsic value. And I stress time and time again is just buy as much time as you possibly can. All right, we're using a leverage derivative, so let's do some math. So actually, let's not do some math because I don't want to be wrong or anything like that. But if I buy this 210 strike, so that's the at the money. It's going to cost me $3,000. Okay, so that is not something that I'm too worried about. Opposed to me buying 100 shares, it's going to cost me $21,000. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to do. Very shortly, very shortly as in tomorrow, because I want to wait to see where tomorrow opens up. And why am I going to do this, even though I've mentioned time and time again that tech is weak, is that we're down almost 16% off of those all-time highs and putting an indecision level. Sharif was talking about that Bezos 200 because he was offloading shares or something along those lines at that price.
Yes, sir.
So let's see if that continues to hold. If it was once support or resistance, I want to see if it can act again. And I really, really like this daily print here, Sharif. But I want to see what you got up on your screen, my guy.
Here it is. Thank you to Darwin, by the way. Here it is, guys. Ukraine, being reported by the Financial Times. Ukraine agrees U.S. mineral deal after Washington drops toughest demands. We'll read a little bit of this article over here. Kyiv has agreed to terms with Washington on a minerals deal that Ukraine officials hope will improve relations with the Trump administration and pave the way for a long-term U.S. security commitment. Ukrainian officials says Kyiv is now ready to sign the agreement on jointly developing its mineral resources, including oil and gas, after the U.S. dropped demands for a right to $500 billion in potential revenue from exploiting the resources. Interesting. The officials argued that they had negotiated far more favorable terms and depicted the deal as a way of broadening the relationship with the U.S. to shore up Ukrainian prospects after 3 years of war. The mineral agreement is only part of the picture. We have heard multiple times from the U.S. administration that it's part of a bigger picture. Olha, I can't say that last time. I do apologize. Ukraine's deputy prime minister and justice minister, who has led the negotiations, told the Financial Times on Tuesday. You guys want to have a look at that? That is free there vis-a-vis the Financial Times. So you may feel one way or not about it, but it has to do with pricing of commodities and stuff like that. So we will mention that on the show. Obviously, it's no secret that Donald Trump is looking to shore up his country's access to minerals, hence Greenland, hence why he is making overtures at Canada. He doesn't just love us for the sake of loving us. It's the resources that we have over here. I know, shocking, right, boys? But that's the look. So we're going to probably hear more of that, more of him trying to strike deals for resources. That's really what it comes down to, obviously, with them being in short supply of some stuff there. So.
Yeah.
That's the look, Joseph. I'm still holding a piece here back to trading related stuff. We got right back into that same area that I had taken it out last time at that $1.20, Joseph, but it was not forthcoming. So this could be a double top right now at this buck and a fifth, $1.20, and we'll come back down into that dollar. Now, if we do, I won't be adding up that dollar on the second occasion. And it does look like it's going to drop here. Wow, that was quick. I mean, we always talk about this. Stocks take the escalator up and they take the elevator down. It takes way longer, or so it feels most of the time, for stocks to make those higher highs, and a lot less time for those stocks to make the lower highs, or the lower lows, excuse me there, Joseph. So it is right now holding at the 10 exponential. This $1.06 is where the 10 EMA is showing up on my chart. We'll see if this one wants to lose the bid. I won't be allowing any of this to go below the dollar. Marty, dropping the cash in the chat there, my man. Thank you, Marty. $10 super chat. Sharif, all of us down south of the border just love you guys. We love you guys right back, man. It kind of goes without saying. My sister's American. I go to the States every year. I love it down there. I have absolutely no beef with America. Love the United States. Full stop. Joseph Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, full stop. Other than like hockey, we'll leave it at that. We love you guys, so.
I like the caveat.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's an exception when it comes to sports. I didn't really talk too much about it, but it got real quiet in the chat when your boy pulled up and we got that victory. But Stevenson asked me to take a look at Google for him, so if we can pull up my chart real quick. We are running into the end of the day, but here we are, Stevenson. We're down about 16% off of that all-time high, and what I'm starting to notice is that a lot of these big tech names are starting to put in this indecision candle at a pretty big low. So we had Amazon down roughly about the same 16%. Now we have Google down 16% off of these all-time highs, and we're putting in an indecision print. Am I going to be looking for a bounce? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm going to look for. I tried a Google swing. It didn't work out, and I took a little bit bigger of a loss than what I wanted to, but that's okay. We can just get right back in. It is what it is. We can always put on a nice and bigger and better trade, and that's exactly what I'm looking to do. So, Stevenson, is Google going to bounce? Let's wait until see where we open up until tomorrow, all right? And one thing I will point out is that we now have a defined risk profile. If you are looking to put in a swing trade, just do this. Use this low just a little bit below it. You don't want to go to the exact penny of the low of that day. So go around 173 or something along those lines for a potential stop. And if it breaches this candle to the downside, then just get out of the trade. But if we open up above this range, then look to enter it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here with Amazon. The issue is with Amazon via options contracts is that, yeah, you're going to have to be, I have to be willing to sit through. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. Okay, never mind. That's about 8 points, which is a little hefty when you're using leveraged products. But on a vehicle like Google, where it's only a couple of points and you can and you're looking to put in some share size, you can withstand that pain. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this potential bounce in these names because they're down double digits. I'm looking for the bounce in Amazon, and I'm looking for the bounce in Google. But where we open up tomorrow is going to be really key, and in the coming days. If we cannot breach the lows, then I believe that we might get a small bounce because 16, 17% is awfully hefty. But we got some more super chats here. Sharif, guys, do you remember I asked you about Nikes? I'm still holding it. Expiration. April quite down. Should still I wait for it to recover? It's a little tough to read, but let's see what we got going on here on NKE here. We had a poll up yesterday. Is Nike dead? And it was pretty close. I voted yes, in my opinion. I know you still like Nike here, Sharif. But let's see what that got. I asked you about Nike. I'm still holding expiration April quite down. There you go. I don't really know what you're asking. Like, do you have an options? I'm assuming you do, but you don't expire until April. So what is it? March, April. So a couple months. I don't know where you bought it in at or when you bought it, because if you bought it anytime this year, I think you'd be up on the session. So that's it for Nike. We got one more super chat, and it is 2 o'clock, guys. And see what else we got. Sharif, all of us down. Okay, we got that one already. So that's it. Nike, Google, and Google and Amazon are going to be your boys' plays in the next coming days. Let's see what happens. Let's see how this daily print ends. Sharif, what do you got to say for the final?
Yeah, just in the group chat there, having a good time. Guys, it is now 2 o'clock. It is time to send you to the big boys.
Bang.
It's Obi in for Neil today. He's a bit under the weather. Get him. Sean Katina.
Bang.
Obi, I don't know his last name. Get it.
I mean, it's Kenobi, Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Kenobi.
come on. Haven't you guys heard before? What's going on, guys?
Wow. What a midday to trade. Yeah.